This conference will now be recorded.
No, you just gotta push it. Yeah, I know, I always feel like you have to hold it. You gotta push it. Get one French toast. I saw that Mike is here too. Okay, so I'm gonna wait for Mike. Yes.
Oh, yep. Oh, Mike will have to come in.
Thanks for making me.
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. We'll approve the agenda here. Do we have to add that for the Larry just gave us? On the agenda? Is it on there? Okay,
Motion to approve.
Second.
got a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Approve the minutes from April 4th.
So I think it should be April. Is it
April 7th. it looks like. April 7th, yep.
Nope, April 4th. The first Monday was a 4th. Yep. So
Okay.
I'll second.
A motion and a second to approve the minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Approve accounts payable.
approve.
I'll second.
Motion and a second to approve the accounts payable. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, we'll jump into the unfinished business. The A is campground discussion. We're going to have another.
Actually, question and comment.
What's that?
Question and comment session. That's what I requested.
What's that?
I requested to be added to the agenda to ask the board questions and to provide comments.
Right, and that's what we put in here, public comment here.
Under,
Ask questions.
Huh?
We're going to ask questions. Just
Okay,
not comments.
well, comments, questions. And just to give you, I mean, that was what the first three meetings were for
I understand.
this.
And I'm not expecting this to last a long time.
Right.
We're going to kind of pare it down to like 3 questions. So we can get through it really quickly. So
Yeah,
you guys got-
right, I was gonna say, we're not gonna spend a lot of time on that, we wanna hear your questions and stuff, but if it gets to be, are these questions that have already been answered by Brian through?
I've got questions about the grant application responses. Other people have other questions. I don't know what questions others have, but I've asked everybody to be brief.
Okay, so why don't you start with your
Actually, I'm
question?
gonna let Wayne started out maybe with a prayer.
With prayer?
Okay,
Sure, not against that at all. That'd be good for all of us.
but I've got a few questions.
You want to do the prayer first or the,
What's that?
I was kidding.
well, I'm not.
Yeah, we're good with that.
He was suggesting that you wanted to pray.
Well, I'm gonna start off, I'll hold the prayers till after a while.
Okay,
Okay. No, my,
Excuse me, the mics aren't picking up.
Oops, sorry.
Oh.
That one's off.
no, I'm responding a bit to a couple of the articles that Dave Grimsrud has written in the local paper. And where he's traced a bit of the history and which has pushed me to ask a few people in other parts of the town about a couple things. Initially, the one I'm concerned about is that there's a lot of talk about talking to the RV expansion as being an amenity. Now, I got a problem with that because I'm wondering if the park board has a sort of standard list of criteria by which you decide if something is or is not an amenity. No, I don't know, or do you just take each one individually to decide whether or not it should be in the park or not? You get my question?
not really. I mean, there's a,
So are you asking like there's a certain set of criteria to list something as an amenity in a town? That's what I got out of it.
You got it.
Got it? That's what it is? Okay.
And when I look at the list of things in the park that are now going on that I consider amenities. So, you take the walking trails, the volleyball, the horseshoe pits, you got a whole list of things. And now all at once, they're very much full participation items without requiring any initial cost on the part of, any great initial cost on the part of the participants. Now we're looking at an amenity which comes with sort of a significant financial barrier. If I am to use that amenity, at a minimum, I need to have an RV trailer. So I'm wondering if we want to be consistent with amenities in Covered Bridge Park, we ought to look at the usage to the local community. And is it something that the broad general consensus of people would have available or would want to make available? So here we're adding, 14, 13 sites that before people like I could use would have to invest a good amount of money. It does not match the other amenities in the park, which are publicly open and available without a lot of expense on the part of any citizen. So that's my one argument. So that's what I want to know. Do you have an amenity, something that measures amenities, or you just judge them one by one? I'd like to know how you function.
yeah, I guess I'm not really, I don't know if you would, do you call it?
Okay, you
campground?
got to talk up a lot, boy.
I mean, when I look at the campground, when we talked about amenities, I was talking about, the amenities that are here to also serve the campground people. I mean, we have people from all over that are coming to use the amenities, not just from town out here. And they have to buy their equipment to use the amenities, just like the campers have to buy their campers to use the, if you want to call it amenities or whatever.
Just like we use the money for the Kids Kingdom, so we can use that.
If I could just like piggyback off from that for a minute, in reading through the grant request, it sounds like the whole theme of the grant is that it should be a project that would be an improvement for the community without disrupting the natural area. And unfortunately, I know it would be an improvement and would benefit 13 people, but it's not improving for the community, as I think the theme of the grant is requesting. So I don't think you're even apples to apples here. It's just requesting for this addition, but it's not a project that is an improvement for all of the community. It's for 13 people.
Can I answer that real quick? So when you have people come into camp, right? We have 13 campers, say, just generalization. These people are gonna come to camp, right? Some of them may bring their own stuff, like their food, whatever. But people that come into town are going to use local businesses. They're going to use the
That's not even a
pool.
part of this. I'm sorry, I understand where you're going, but that's not what the gist of this grant application is. It's to benefit the, like the Kids Kingdom. It would be a place for grandparents to bring their grandchildren, or, that kind of thing, where people passing by can stop and go to the pool, or, do you know what I mean? It's available to more of the community. So I don't think that,
It's our part,
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
the
And
cities.
I think that'll be up to the grant people. I mean, that'll be how they interpret that grant, I guess is the way.
Well,
What do
possibly.
you mean by that, Mike?
Well, the grant is in for review. They'll review that grant, and that's what they'll make the determination.
Okay. Is this statement of opposition being registered with the people who make the grant? Do they know that,
No. It's
that
not listed.
there's a feeling there that it is not something
That's not
serving the
the-
general community?
The grant writers, that's not their job to get in the middle of the discussion, the pros and the cons for the town.
But it did ask the question on the,
We brought up the noise because that was one of the major concerns that was brought forth from the scheduled town meetings.
Just that,
Yeah, that was
just
the
the
only,
noise.
thing.
Well, we had a grant writer answer the questions for the grant, and it's like Mike said, that's into the grant, and if they'll come back, I'm sure, and say, well, we answered the questions.
Did you guys have an opportunity to provide input to the grant application?
We hired a grant
We
writer.
hired her.
But did you have input to
Did you
her,
critique
the
them?
Well-
person that's doing the grant?
Did you critique them? Because there's holes in this.
The board didn't, no.
But they did provide feedback, ongoing feedback, as
Yep.
did you during the process. And if I can answer the DNR grant question, along with our consultant, we contacted the DNR and told them that this is what we're looking to do. The park board wishes to
Okay,
expand the
Brian,
campground.
can you?
Yes, sorry. To answer the DNR grant question, we contacted the DNR before we applied for any grants to see which grant would be appropriate for a campground expansion within our city park. And we were guided towards the outdoor recreation grant by the DNR person. So this is completely applicable to the expansion of the campground.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we wouldn't have applied for this one.
It'll be interesting how we interpret it.
For sure. Yep. Yep.
Well, yeah.
But, and I had a question on the bathrooms. I mean, there was so much stuff about the bathroom, the new bathroom, helping the park, but I don't see it as helping anything but the campers, because it's down so far. People go have reunions at the, you know, the covered facility and stuff, and there's a lot of elderly people. They've got a ways to travel.
Have you looked up here?
You can answer.
We're putting bathrooms in up by the shelter.
Okay.
It's in the process right, it's in the process right now to accommodate that area. So
Well, yeah, see, I didn't know that. I've been out there lately, but
For what it's worth to me, like, I've been coming off that trail before and having to go to the bathroom and rush my kids all the way across the park to the other bathroom.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to have something right there too.
Yeah, exactly. Bathrooms, I mean, yeah, with kids in the kids' kingdom, you know, you kind of wonder, I know there's been a few instances when my kids didn't make it, but, you know, that was a while ago, but.
I'm gonna let Wayne finish, because I know he's probably got a couple other comments. And I've got an option that I'm gonna propose to solve that.
Okay, can I follow up with another question or another concern?
Yep.
So the point I initially wanted to try to upgrade is that by going to the RV campers, you are bringing in a level of financial discrimination. Only the people who have the ability to afford those units will be using them. So I don't know if I asked, and I've asked a number of people, would they like to see campground grow in Zimbrota? Yeah. Oh, sure. Then I asked them, what about if it is a development of RV campers? Well, I never used one of those. So I don't know. My question is, is this palatable to the general population of Zimbrota if they contemplate their use?
What are you considering RV? Just the motorized ones or?
Normal RV camper, motorized, maybe in a towed vehicle.
We have no limitation. If somebody wants to come in there with a pop-up camper and spend the whole summer there, that's what I'm saying. So
We're talking about the big RVs that we typically have in the designated.
Well, like it's out here right now in our park.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the second thing that comes with that, and I guess I would need, I don't think we're talking the same language on whether something's an amenity. And again, amenity to mean it's largely available to everybody. Like walking the trails, like playing horseshoe. Wherever you are, you can go and do that. You may have to buy a pair of shoes or something, but it's easily available to every person that appears. And I think that's a wholesome thing for a park. The second thing is a somewhat personal objection to the whole project. And I believe I'm on the right page, but the area in which this campground extension is going to be placed is an area I think that I have walked on for 25 years, and it has not been disturbed, except a few trees have been planted, a little trail has gone along the side, but very much it's been grass and sod. Now, if I understand the plan right, and I may be corrected here, on that area we'll go 13 camper pads, and then underneath the ground will go all the wires and paraphernalia to support those. Now, I think that's, to put it very boldly, just simply pollution. Because those things are there, they're used in the summer, but in the fall, they're there visible. In the winter before the snow comes, they're still visible. The visual pollution in many seasons of the year doesn't go away. I walk down there now and there may be some changes made, but by every camper site, there's a big orange barrel to sort of protect them, I think, from the snowmobiles. Great idea. But visually, to people who enjoy the natural landscape, that's no good. It simply destroys the whole feeling of a park, which I think should be dedicated to the care and nurture of the natural resources rather than invading it. I see no reason to do that. So I would argue strongly that this, in my end game on this, and I don't know how far it'll go, but kind of following up on some of the questions that Dave Grimsrud has asked in the paper, I think I'll follow up on a couple of those, and because I have this feeling that the general population of Zumbrota does not know exactly what you mean, even though you've had meetings, of what that's going to look like with the papers, you know, with all that stuff in there all year round. And I can just see that we have a tremendous opportunity, as is done so often when I read the stuff, what's happening in the parks, you know, they're growing more grass. We have that wonderful example of what's been happening down by the river, reclamation of the bank. You could grow off of those educational programs on how we can care for our creation. And instead we're going to plug it up with a machine. So something like that's going to, you know, I will be working to create some public awareness of what this whole thing means in the visual character of the place and what it means for the young people of the community to grow up taking care of the place. And final part of my sermon tonight is on that one corner down there, before the trail breaks off to go up to the swimming pool, there's kind of a rickety old standard there with some names of some gentlemen on. Now, I know 3 of them, I think: Dale Drinkon, Ed Goplin, Christy Kalis. Somebody may have to help me with the rest of it, but they have been the heroes of soil conservation in Goodhue County. So they kind of stand as a sentinel to me that here are people who stood strong for caring for the creation and skipping all the equipment in the world. I honor them.
And I wonder what they would be thinking now with what you guys are proposing.
So any questions about what I've been saying first, I guess?
And I wonder what the people that developed this park and developed the campground, and I think what you're going at, I wonder what they're thinking. On the other hand, it's like, wow, that's awesome.
They wouldn't want RVs in there. They didn't want it from the very start.
It was developed a campground.
Exactly, but it's only for temporary and short-term camping.
They did not want.
There's always been 4 sites out there for
Exactly,
seasonal
but that was
sites.
to help travelers or short-term.
Yep, and as we grow and expand, we have a request for more sites and stuff there, because we've had a list of people that want to come in there.
Once again, the majority probably did not know Howard Bailey. How many did? Yeah, interesting man. I knew him very well. But he designed the whole original plan. It's worth going back and trading it down. He had a whole plan laid out there, including ball field, concession stand. Every piece was all laid out there. And interesting enough, he was highly opinionated about it and excited to get the covered bridge in there as kind of the centerpiece of what was going to be a old-time town village with a schoolhouse and a railroad equipment building. And late in life, he came to his own personal decision after expending a whole lot of energy on that. He wrote a whole book about it, and his self-evaluation was, it was a folly. Now, if we want to honor the main man who put that all together, he finally said no. And the whole book is available. Interesting thing to read. But he called the whole thing He had an outline for roads, people lined up to do everything, concession stand and the whole whippity thing in the plan, every single thing. Molly.
And interestingly enough, Wayne, he also has in there trailer camping in this area that we're proposing, that the park board is proposing.
But he called it all the folly.
Is that the whole park then, or are
The
you just
whole
picking out
doggone,
pieces?
the whole development. He didn't exempt anything.
So none of the park should be there?
Should be there, but all the.
Going to put in, it shouldn't be there.
We have a plan from 1965 when it was originally done, in his book that shows trailer camping back there.
Yeah.
So I
He
think
had
the
that,
park
he had
board
all
is
those
following
things, he had all those things in there, but
Yeah, I think
after a flood or two, he said, I'm
Yeah,
done.
it's right here.
It's none.
Writer wrote you, man?
Call it out.
Copy of that.
Yeah, we were all in.
I just made one, and I'm just gonna rip this. Wayne, anything else?
Well, I guess.
I'm more concerned about that little piece of land that I love, which is sod right now, that baby's gonna be ripped up on top and down below. 25 years of sod and grass.
This is help you.
That's a tragedy.
No, you haven't.
Okay, got any more comments? You're done? Okay, Charlie, you want to do?
In action. Oh, go ahead.
Ask a question first. A lot of, back again to the grant application, there was umpteen times where it talked about replacing the bathhouse because of the floodplain.
Totally different.
Is there two different floodplains here?
I was here for something totally different.
No, it's not.
No.
We're gonna be done in about 10 minutes.
John, did you have nothing with this?
Yeah, I don't want to interrupt it, but my only question was, in the trees by the ice rink, there's a bunch of short corrugated plastic tubes that used to be around the bottom of trees. A couple are still on trees that are dead. Can I just go down and grab them? Because I got use for them.
Yeah, go ahead. Mike?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you for reusing.
All right, you make
God,
this
love
really
him.
fast and easy. I also have.
Have an answer to my question?
Go ahead.
Are there two different floodplains?
Nope. It's all the floodplain.
Then the way this grant application is filled out is inaccurate.
There's actually the floodway edge.
Yep.
And then there's the floodplain. The floodplain, as you can see, with the WHS, encompasses basically the entire campground and the bathhouse.
Right.
So the floodplain is where the water can actually go up to. It's not the flowing water, it's where the water can actually come up to.
Okay, so
So it's clearly in the floodplain.
So that's the whole premise in this grant application over and over and over again, is how this is going to be much better to the environment because it's out of the floodplain. It's not out of the floodplain, it's still in the
So-
floodplain. And you're adding 13 additional campsites that
Yeah,
will have that same sewer, whatever problem.
I need
potential.
to take exception to that because unless I missed something in here, there is no reference to
Charlie,
moving it out of
We're
the
running this meeting, all
floodplain.
right?
Yeah.
There is reference
He
to
can answer
moving
your
it.
questions, all right?
We're moving it to a higher level, yes. But I made sure, or I tried to make sure, that there was no reference to moving anything out of the floodplain. Because I was very careful. We clarified that about 45 times in these meetings. So if it's in there, then I missed one, and
So
I
I'm going to
apologize.
reference the application, the grant application.
Charlie, will you sit, please? Thank you. Sit. Thank you.
I just thought it'd be easier for everybody to hear.
Yep.
And see.
Grab the microphone and they can hear that.
Oh, yeah, you need one of those.
I think they can hear myself very well.
Mike,
I
just-
can't hear unless somebody's by a mic. I'm sorry. If there's any questions I need to answer, I wouldn't be able to hear them.
All right, I'll address the floodplain issue that you raised, Cindy. Well, the first question, as you can see this handout, which I would like referenced in the minutes. The first question really has to do with the financial investment, cost breakdown information that was in the grant application. And really the question is, why did it go from around 200,000, which is what was proposed previously, to 340,000, 70% increase. And Brian, you did send me an email explaining about a 14% inflationary factor, but why 70% increase?
And when was this 200,000 talked about? I think that was before, that probably
It was in the
originated.
public minutes.
Was it? Yeah, but it probably originated.
Right away when we
a
first
number of
started
years
this.
ago.
I think what they got the priority list.
Yeah, and
It was actually in February.
to be quite frank, we were stunned too when the numbers started coming back. We had our consulting engineer helping us with that based on other buildings that were just built. Really, most of it is the bathhouse building.
Yeah,
And
that
that
was
came back
interesting.
way higher than we were expecting, so.
And we kind of,
And everything's high right now, obviously.
And go back to, you said the 200 was in there. We've been talking about this way before you started coming to meetings. So that's where the 200 started.
well, the 200 was in February.
But this was
Right,
started on their
but we
priority.
started talking about that 200 a long time ago when we started talking about this expansion. And
This
that's,
is actually when you had 19 campsites, and then you reduced it down to 13.
But that all came about, Fred's talking about this is years before this has gotten that close. It was in a priority list of theirs, and there's.
You had gotten estimates from
There's
vendors.
there's always been numbers put out there for the park board, estimates at that time. But that was probably 5-6 years ago. When did you start
okay,
that?
Charlie,
Yeah,
I'm gonna stop you right here. Are these questions that you're answering, has Brian already answered? Are you asking them and Brian has already answered them?
No.
Okay, because I thought he said.
Brian answered this 14% increase. What I would like to know is why a 70% increase?
So let me clarify that. So things came in a whole lot higher than we were expecting, and this won't be done this year. It's going to be done next year. So when we were doing a recent bonding for the sanitary district, Minnesota Management Budget recommended a 14% inflationary factor for the next year. So I took the numbers that came in that were way high and put 14% or so on
Sure.
those. So anyway, I don't think we need to.
No, that's fine.
The number is what it is, Charlie, so.
Anyway, the second item is really as it relates to the bathhouse. And so, the that's 200,000. That's a significant amount for a bathhouse, a standalone building. And this is where I said, Fred, that I have a solution or an option, because you are going to be remodeling and building the new pool facility, right? I think it's been discussed in the next couple of years.
Well, that's yet to be seen.
Yeah.
But
There's discussion on it, yes?
So the question that I have and the solution that I have is, would the board consider in the remodel of the pool bathhouse or the pool house, consider adding bathroom facilities with the pool?
We went to that avenue, and when we were talking, we have a company that is with us, helping us with the pool. Burbach is their name. So in one of their meetings, I had said, figure out what it would cost to put 3 more walls, with 3 more walls on the bathhouse that we do for the pool, and add that 3-wall thing on there, or showers. And they came. What's that? No, but then he came back with the number of $200,000.
That surprises me.
Well, surprised me too. I said it was ridiculous. So I said, I think we can do our own bathhouse cheaper. But we put that, I think just because we have put 340,000 in there, we
understand that.
We don't have to use that whole 340.
But you do have to use it for a separate standalone bathhouse if you get this grant, correct? Exactly.
Yep.
So that's my thought. There's going to be very few people using that bathhouse. It's going to be for temporary campers. The RV campers, they have their own facilities within their campers. So for the usage.
And I wouldn't disagree with you. The only thing is, we do need, when you do expand the campground, you do need that bathhouse, and you need an ADA compliant.
Mike, I gotta hear you.
I said, when you do expand on the campground, you do need that bathroom. I guess I lost my mind. But you do need the bathroom. That comes from the Department of Health. They request.
A bathroom, but probably not a shower,
Yeah,
a bathhouse.
Yeah.
They request the shower.
And it all needs to be
There's a
ADA.
minimum that you need for the bathhouse. think it's 2 showers per side. So
It just seems like a lot of money for very limited use. Anyway, that's my comment there.
You're limited to the campers. I think people have said, people walking by would like to have a bathroom there. So it's not just for the campground, it's going to be for the
But
walking
it's probably going to
paths,
get limited use.
the people that are playing in the playground there,
Okay. Number 3, and this is the big one, and this is getting to Cindy's comment, because I went through the entire document and I outlined what the grant writer put for each of those items. And it's all over the map. The first item you can see there, page 2, project narrative, number 1 response. The current bathhouse is in the floodplain, meaning that equipment has to be replaced whenever the area floods, which adds extra costs for the city and decreases accessibility for the campers. Very true. And look at the next one.
And would imply that the new bathhouse wouldn't have that issue.
So
But
look
if
at
the
the
new
next one, page
bathhouse
3.
is also in the floodplain.
Page 3, item 3, project relation to scope. Number 2 response, the grant writer wrote was, the new bathhouse will be out of the floodplain, so it will not be at risk of being shut down due to flood damage.
Which is not true.
It's totally contradictory and not true. Number 5, page 5, number 1. Does the project take care of what we have? The response is, the new bathhouse will be less likely to flood. I think we've already shown in pictures how high the water has gotten there. I don't need to show you guys again. It will flood. Page 17, item 6, public participation and benefits. Response is, the new bathhouse and campsites will not be prone to flooding, which will prevent some environmental damage. Page 5, number 4, the response is, the current bathhouse is vulnerable to flooding and debris can wash out into area, causing contamination and environmental degradation in the floodplain. Very true. It contradicts what you're thinking, what you're doing. The proposed campsites and bathhouse are inside the floodplain. It will flood. And I, have to probably remind, that it was actually admitted in the March meeting, Brian. You said that even the upper area has flooded. That's the first time that I've heard you say that. Involuntarily. So I also put the Merriam-Webster definition of the floodplain and the floodway on there. So my question going forward is, does the park board agree with the responses outlined in the sections that I've just talked about of the grant application program that was submitted? Do you agree with those statements?
I want to hold for just a second, if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know what version I sent you, but, well, actually I do, I'm looking at it right now. Page 2, item 2, right?
Then I would just like you to send me the original version.
Yeah, no, I thought I did. I just want to make sure. I don't know if it was I don't know if there was a markup that didn't come through on yours, because like I said, I went through and took all this out, but I'm looking at the one that I sent you. I just looked up my sent items. And page 2, item 2 on mine says, this is the what design elements are included, blah, 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 that you read through. I believe this is the one. Native grasses we planted around the affected sites.
Oh, it's added to that.
Is that the one?
Yeah.
And the new bathhouse will be at a higher elevation? Is that what yours says?
I don't know. I just went by the one that you sent me, so you can check those
Say at a
documents.
higher elevation? And so Charlie, why are you telling all of us?
Because this is what you said in there.
No,
Yeah,
this
it
is the grant paperwork that you asked for. And I just read it to you and she's looking at it and it says at a higher elevation.
It has all that other stuff that Charlie's
Exactly.
talking about as well.
I'm just
It
taking
does?
the sections out.
It says it'd be out
That
of the
apply.
floodplain?
Yeah.
In item 2.
In a different area.
No, but page 2, item 2 narrative, the current bathhouse is in a floodplain, meaning that equipment has to be replaced whenever
Yeah,
it floods.
that's true.
Let's see. So item 3, where's the out of the floodplain? Okay, item 3.
Page 2, item 2, project narrative number 1, the current bathhouse. No, it's page 3, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
item
Page 3,
3.
item 3, project relations to scope. Number 2,
Okay, it's connected to Goody Pine. Number 2. Page 3, item 3, number 2. The project will make campsites more accessible. The new will be out of the floodplain. My apologies. Like I said, I tried to edit all that out of there because that was in there before. And they should say at a higher level because I was trying to be careful to get those out of there. So my apologies. You're absolutely
Well,
correct.
you don't have to apologize to me,
You're
but
absolutely correct. It does say that in there, and that is not correct.
you don't have to apologize to us. All you need to do is submit, what I would like the board to do is submit additional information to the grant committee that outlines this, along with a copy of the map that clearly shows the floodplain. Would you have any disagreement in doing that?
I think first we'll check into, I would think that the DNR grant that they're looking at are gonna have the same map that we have when they look to see where we're gonna expand it. But I mean, we'll check on that to make sure.
But we would just like it for them to have all the information, public information that was provided, that we have, including the opposition, which comes to the next. So flip over the page. I'm going to cut through this quickly because mostly just comments. So number 4, and this is what Jane had spoke about, the wildlife, vegetation, air quality, and noise. So I'm not going to go through everything that was in the application. I have in quotes and bold. So you can review that at your own leisure. The comment that I have is increased noise and traffic is a significant concern voiced by all property owners living adjacent to the proposed RV campground location during park board meetings. In addition, people walking, running on the trail, which is also still very close to the proposed RV campground, and certainly wildlife, who've claimed this area for many years, will also experience increased noise and traffic. And it just ties in a lot with what Wayne and Jane have said previously. The strategic plan item number 5. Really, the information that I received from Brian as far as strategic plan was very limited. But what I do know, and I document here, that during March park board meeting, Jane Miller, a relative of the founding member of the Covered Bridge Society, said that they never wanted people to be camping in their parks all summer. We talked about that. April 16th, 2015, park board meeting minutes. So this is 7 years ago, but City Administrator Neil Jensen said that due to flood issue in the park, limited camping is reasonable. In addition, during this time in 2015, there was a project to reforest City of Zumbrota, including Covered Bridge Park. And this was achieved primarily with assistance from DNR and Minnesota DOT grants. Numerous trees were planted in a proposed RV campground location because the plan in 2015 was to make this area a family picnic and playground area. In an email to Brian Grudem, February 21, 2022, a Zumbrota citizen volunteer presented the reforestation plan to the park board in 2015 and indicated that the area in the plan for campground expansion was outlined as family picnic and playground area. The approved plan for tree planting enhanced that use was also planned, but random planting of hardwood and evergreen trees. The area has a nice growth of trees to serve that need as well. So those are those new trees that were in that area. So my comment is based on the information that we've received to date. We do not believe that there is sufficient evidence to claim that the proposed RV campground has been a part of Zumbrota's comprehensive and strategic plan since 2000. If you disagree, please provide us with detailed information proving otherwise. The last item, last page. I don't think so. Last item is page 17, item 6, number 3. Describe the process that led to the development of this proposal and how the public was involved. Yeah, we had 3 meetings. Who was involved and how were they able to review the completed proposal, including members of the public? Now I put ... because it includes other people too, but including members of the public, The response is 3 public meetings were held to solicit feedback from the community and inform them about the project. Based on comments at the public meeting, the park board changed various aspects of the project to make it more palatable for the concerned citizens. What did you do to make it more palatable for the concerned citizens? What did you do?
What did we change?
What did you change to make it more palatable? Again, in terms of impact to the green space.
Well, we went from 20 to 13, moved them down further to get them further away from the properties.
That's it.
Okay.
I don't think the response included any information about documented citizen opposition or concern by both those citizens who lived adjacent to the proposed RV campground and those living farther away. You may disagree, but we don't think so.
Well, we
Because
didn't.
of the scenic, the pastoral landscape, the night sky viewing, the quick peaceful surroundings, as well as the anticipated unfavorable impact to the trees, grass, plants, and wildlife.
And the neat thing about this is that DNR grant, I'm sure they'll take that all into consideration when they're looking at it. I don't think this is their first time doing a campground grant on expansion and stuff. But you said we didn't put comments of what you did. We didn't also put comments of the people that were in favor of it either. So it
Well,
was.
would you, my question to the board is, will you, the park board, provide citizen opposition, concern, and those positive, documented positive comments? Now, it's got to be documented. It's got to be in the minutes or some other way other than saying, so-and-so told me so. And other information that, documents what you did to the outdoor recreation grant program for review, along with the floodplain issue.
So some of them documents are there that are in favor for it. Some of your comments too were from so-and-so. So there was.
I'm talking about just the public information.
Right.
The comments that were made here at these board meetings.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about.
We had positive comments from there. That is documented.
Include those too. But will you send that along with the floodplain information to the outdoor recreation grant program so that they have all the information to make the best decision?
Well,
Yes or no?
I'm not going to answer yes or no. I'm going to look into it and.
When will you provide an answer?
Well, when we look into, was that one of the questions that was asked in?
This is a question that we're asking.
That you're asking, but it wasn't a question in the grant of.
Yeah, it did. The question, describe the process that led to the development of the proposal and how the public was involved. Who was involved and how were they able to review the completed proposal, including members of the public? We weren't able to review that document. I only received it after it was submitted. So you didn't do it. So that's it. That's all I have. Review this, compare it to the document that was submitted. I hope the one that we received, and Brian, if it's not the one that I got from you, then please send me the updated one.
Yeah, I know it should be. I just missed that one about getting out of the floodplain because that's not true. But the rest of them should say at a higher level because you're careful to remove anything that referenced getting out of the floodplain.
Yeah, but it's an error in omission, right? Higher elevation, but still within the floodplain.
Correct.
So
And you
it's very
out.
weighted, it's very one-sided. It's very,
It's the truth.
but it's still a floodplain.
Correct.
Insinuating it's out of the floodplain.
No, not at all. Not the one that said it was out of the floodplain was, but not at a higher level.
The Department of Health actually says in their rules that a campground should not be in the floodplain. That's the Department of Health rules. Now, they claim that they, use the local zoning laws, instead of that rule. But, a question that I know has been asked to Mike and others, if this is a resident who wanted to build in the floodplain. Would the city allow it?
I think when we looked into that, Brian, I think it was allowed under our ordinance, correct?
This one was allowed under our ordinance, yes.
Conveniently.
Well, that's what the ordinance says, Charlie. I can't, that's not anything.
And the reason
that
people
came down
don't-
in the last
Yeah,
meeting.
Just write up the ordinance.
The reason people don't build in a floodplain, whether we can or not with the ordinance, is because the insurance is so high that allows them not to do that.
No, I understand that. But I'm talking about this situation. Why would it be any different than somebody else, a resident, with the risk of having sewage issues when it floods, that type of thing? So there is a risk.
Yep, like I said, the DNR knows, they're gonna know where we put it and stuff, and on their graphs and stuff. So we'll look into your comments and stuff, and, we'll decide.
Anybody else have any?
I got a question. Okay, say there is a flood and, there, some people didn't get their campers out. Is the city or anybody reliable for them? Do they have to sign a waiver when they come in to camp that you guys, nobody here is responsible for damages?
Yep, the campers are responsible for their own,
So they sign a document?
well, I don't know if they signed the document, but that's in the one picture you had with the motorhome that was,
Yeah,
he was well aware of, it was his insurance to take
That
care
might
of
be
it.
something you put in the rules.
It is in the rules.
Yeah, I would
It's in the
say
current rules and it'll be in the
cover
improved
yourself
rules.
for
Yep.
that, yeah.
Forest fires, doesn't matter. I mean, that was the first item they brought up, was the risk of our neighborhood burning down because of campfires that get out of control. Right? So if something burns down our neighborhood, and it has happened in other areas, not saying it's going to happen here, but as dry as it was last summer, that was a big concern for me. And it should be a concern for other people, not just in our neighborhood.
What's that?
Moment?
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you, and I want to let everyone take a breath. And I really want to say thanks for showing up and speaking your mind. I totally respect all of the voices and all the information. Generally, the audience here, are you all on opposition to the campground? Everyone here in attendance? So,
Mostly, I would
okay.
say.
I'm just getting my visual of like who's speaking against and for. So.
I don't think anybody else knew about this. I mean, I just asked to have it on the
So
agenda.
we weren't gonna make that public, so.
Fine.
So what your question is, about half are against it that are here. Okay,
This is
so-
not one of our
and
three
they have other
publicized
things that we
meetings.
have to discuss and stuff, so we've had 3 meetings of this. So we're gonna conclude.
Procedural question, I guess. More procedural than anything, communication. And, this is not my first rodeo trying to communicate with the community. Going way back to the sesquicentennial and all the covered bridge stuff, And to get word out to a lot of people in the town is really hard work. Starting out with the fact that not a lot of people, not a great majority, subscribe to the paper. I don't know how reliant you have to be on social media, which I don't like. But the question being, and I said earlier, is transparency, that in the tone of David Grimsrud, plan to write a couple articles, because I feel the general public doesn't, when you say RV camping, I don't think there's good understanding that does mean camper pads, wires under the ground, any of those things. They don't factor that in. So I plan on getting a couple articles, probably get David to help me get some stuff written up well. And if there's some numbers of cost and stuff is in there, I'll be sure to check those at City Hall to make sure they're accurate. But just to make you sure that I hope to generate some public awareness, some public discussion, which I hope will be good. Thank you.
I can tell everybody that I run into about campground.
Yeah.
RV campground?
Question, Fred.
Yes.
You just say campground, they don't.
A camp,
They don't
I specify.
the majority of the people I
I'm
talk
very
to, when I say
specified.
campground, they know it's an RV campground. It's not just for tents.
St. John's.
Well, the people you're talking to. I'm gonna go the other side and say the people I'm talking about, we say a campground, they know it's an RV campground. I mean, just the same as what you're saying, the people you're talking
I
to.
think you have to specify numbers, location,
Campers.
and the number of campers. And are you in favor of this if you replace a huge chunk of land that's been sod for 28 years?
Yep.
You know, you really got to fill in the blanks. You just can't say RV campers and all that stuff. You have to fill it
You know,
in.
we did talk about doing a survey, correct?
You
At the
did.
February meeting, we talked about doing a survey. Where did that go? You know, a social media survey.
We talked about it, but we said,
didn't do it.
no, we didn't. Because we said we would look into it and we,
Why didn't you do it?
Well, and just one other point on that whole thing, as far as talking and there are questions in the grant or having these public meetings, it wasn't even required.
Yes, it was.
It was,
Charlie, would you let him finish?
Sure.
We let you talk.
it wasn't required on our part, so what we did is we took just the neighborhood, and maybe that's why a lot of the town didn't know, because we just focused on the neighborhood that was butting up to the campground, so.
But a question, are they gonna have to move the campers out?
Yes. Discussed in the last three meetings.
Highly recommended.
The last three meetings, it
Yeah,
was
but that's why I
seasonal.
wanted to clarify.
Right.
They are
No,
gone. Okay.
we never said highly recommended. It's always been a seasonal. They will always be removed in the fall. We never said that there was any option for anything other than that.
Well, I think in the grant application, it said, Fred,
It's a year.
highly recommended. So, and I don't know, I can't remember if that was the one in on the comments or not, but I know the last meeting you did say that, so I'm just clarifying.
Go ahead.
I'm not here for any opposition. I really don't care either way. I just want to put it out there. People, those RV sites are electrical and water. And as somebody who has sleep apnea, when I go camping with my kids, I have to have a place to plug into. So I take my tent and I book an RV site and I sleep on it. So just wanted to throw that out there. It's something to think about.
How many of these new RV sites will be permanent seasonal residents there, and how many will be open for short term? Do we know?
Probably, I guess our discussion on that was, the 13 could be all seasonal because we have weekender ones down below.
How many weekender ones are down below?
Well, what do we got, Mike? 14 sites out, 13, 14, and 4 of them are seasonal.
Seasonal means you can
You can
secure
rent it
them
for
for
the
the
whole year.
all
The whole
year.
summer.
The whole summer.
Summer.
May to November, or whatever.
Thank you, guys. I do appreciate it. And I do appreciate
Charlie, I just want one question. Your definition between RV and camper.
No, I'm saying there's a issue, I think, when you say campground. Do you agree with a campground or oppose a campground? You have to be more specific because it's been a campground, right? It's been seasonal and it's also been.
No, but
temporary.
I made the comment of people know there's going to be campers there, and you said, no, you got to say RVs. So what's your
No, there's
definition?
campers, but it's.
A camper is an
What you're talking about
RV.
is an RV park. It's an RV park.
It's a campground.
A campground.
It's a
whatever.
campground.
It's an RV
Anybody who
park.
camps right now, this is the way they're set up. They're a campground. You can pull in a travel trailer, you can pull in a fifth wheel, you can pull in a Class A, you can pull in a Class C.
You can put a tent.
Bring in your tent. You can stay out under the stars if you want. That's the way the
Sure.
campground is set up. It's a campground.
But I think what we're talking about, the way to explain it to the public so that they understand, is we're talking about big rigs.
I think people know what a campground is all the way around.
And I'm done.
All right, well, camper, whatever. So this portion of the campground discussion is
I think so.
concluded, and
So this has already been submitted, correct?
Yep.
Yes.
Item 7 did draft.
okay, all right, we're gonna jump that next. Yep. Okay,
So I guess
Thank you.
one last thing, just before you close it up, would Brian be able to get back to me regarding answers to my questions from the board?
that'll be,
After you review. Brian?
that'll be up to Brian. I mean,
I take my direction from the park board.
Okay. Okay, thank you guys. Yep.
On page 18.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're not addressing that whole question.
Sure, maybe that's not, okay.
And I don't think there's your answer could have answered it all, but it didn't.
Okay, thank you. I apologize to you guys. Hopefully this was gonna go that long. I apologize to you all.
Sorry.
So Mike said that, or,
Now we got Mike Nolte.
This whole business right
so the
here.
gentleman in the back are with the what? Disc golf?
Yeah.
Eric is with the skate park.
So can we go, are you okay if we jump to the skate park real quick?
Proposal.
Okay.
We went over
Okay.
with them. We didn't- And
Okay.
we presented.
And
the
what's
proposal to the public.
what's your name?
This is not a proposal. This is
Sure,
the
Chief.
grant application. and They don't have to review it.
Okay.
I don't really have a big speech prepared or anything like that, so.
Thank you.
I'm trying to get together a group of citizens to help kind of either maintain the skate park, and I want to see it expanded. It kind of came to me this summer, last summer. I spent a lot of time there with my kids. I used to skate, and there are people from all over, people from the cities that come down to the skate park, people that drive from Red Wing and further away, weekly during the summer to use the skate park. And the ramps, is like the skate light on the ramp starting to flake off, stuff like that. And Mike, nice to actually meet you. I've been sending emails and stuff, trying to, I guess Jim Para was helping out before. He's actually my old neighbor. Basically, I want to initiate that contact. I want to see how citizens can help, like with the legal ease and stuff like that. I don't have to know if I have to go create a nonprofit to do donations and stuff, which if I do, it's fine. If I don't, even better. It's a lot of paperwork. But I just really want to get the conversation out there on first getting the maintenance up stuff on the skate park. And I would love to see it expanded because honestly, the Red Wing skate park is very dilapidated and garbage. The one in Rochester's, I mean, it's pretty cool. It's all concrete. But you have to be like a certain skill level. I would love to see something we had a lot of younger kids that skate around and scoot around and stuff. I want to see some stuff like that kind of get built in here and make it more of a family thing, or get a porta potty over there. I usually try to go through and sweep it up and pick up trash when I drive by. But I want to start those conversations up and see what we need to do as citizens and if I can get people spun up to help out with it and stuff.
Yeah, well, I want to thank you for coming because we've been looking for a person like this. Because it was brought to our attention last year that we need to do some repairs in there. And then, like you said, with Jim, he kind of headed that up and it's like when he left, like, oh boy, what do we do now? And, so, yeah, so whatever, I guess we would be up for what suggestions of what you.
So I believe there's still money in there for. Kim, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. There is about.
Is there still monies in that account for that skate park?
There is about $4,000 squirreled away for that. Also, just as a history, what Jim did when he was fundraising, we have some prohibitions on what we can and cannot do in the city that we've been made aware of recently. And one thing is solicit donations. But we can have a group that solicit donations and then we can put them into the city. So what Jim did was exactly the right way you're supposed to do it. He solicited donations from area businesses. And then he would bring the monies into the city and we would put them in a restricted fund so that they were used specifically for the skate park.
Through like a personal, like for me personally, or do they have to go through like a nonprofit?
So
you don't have to go through a nonprofit. We just can't solicit the funds. We as staff.
As a city.
Yeah.
So what we ran into looking, seeing the decks over there and seeing how the metal transitions were kind of peeling and the screws were sheared off, we noticed that last year. And the problem we were running into was finding the replacement board. And that's, where we reached out to Jim, Mike reached out to Jim to see if there was somebody, because it's a specialty board and everything that goes with it, that we could start communicating to have those funds go to.
I started looking into it myself. Like I was just going to buy them and replace them one day, but I was like, maybe don't need
No,
the
no,
police
no.
report, so.
These guys are well aware, and even the divots in the concrete, things like that.
They were too bad, but,
So do you know where to buy the product?
nope, but I get obsessive about things, so yeah, I could find it.
And if you need a nonprofit, Kim's saying you don't, but if for some reason we would need one, reach out to the Zimbrota Lions Club because they can funnel money through their nonprofit.
Oh, that's cool.
Right,
Awesome.
Dick? Yep.
I mean, I also like, I don't know how you guys feel about it. I want to do like some events there too. Like, I want to see if I can get a skate instructor down, do like a community event and stuff.
Mhm.
I started a Facebook group, but I'm, trying to get people to interact here, so.
Ramps with like your contact or anything you're comfortable with, Facebook page or something? Is that bad for the image?
Can you make sure?
Well, there's like the little sign out front that has the rules on it that usually gets overgrown.
Can you tag the street one with like your name and some graffiti?
Can we make sure we have his name and number?
I've got it, yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, no.
So what, I guess, is it something that you're willing to dig into for repairs and additions and all that?
I'll find some information on that, and I'll funnel it through Mike.
Yep.
I don't know if you guys want me to email you individually. I don't know the open rule.
No, just send it through Mike.
Give
He
it to
can
Mike,
send
and
it
he
out
can
to
send it out
everybody.
to us, Whatever. But yeah, we're just more than happy to.
Do we have to have a motion to have him go forward with this?
We didn't with Jim, did we?
To be kind of the.
I think it's always good to have a motion.
Yeah,
What'd she say?
I mean.
Kim said it's always good to have a motion.
Do it, but.
Yeah, what's it gonna be though? What's the motion gonna be?
So what
To
was the
go,
motion?
give him the authority to go
Motion
ahead and get information on the materials and look for a bid.
But we gotta be careful not to
Yeah.
give the illusion that it's the city doing that, or, if, we're not hiring him to do this.
No.
Oh, okay, all right. When you get the information, bring it back to us.
Okay.
How does that sound?
Do that, and then we'll think more about how we can
Help.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
I want to I know what I want, but I want to get it from other people, so.
feedback, yeah. Yeah, and if you find the product and stuff, then we can start moving forward to repairing things out there and, yeah.
Like your head, like expansion wise, eventually I'll ask, like, what I can do for expansion over there. If
So
we
in your
can.
mind right now, what are you thinking?
Honestly,
Okay.
so.
Making it wider, longer, or another separate thing?
Whatever I can work with, I adapt, so whatever I can work with.
But that's good for us
There's
to
some
hear though, 'cause
limitation.
I see it getting used, and I just think, well, that's a bunch of local kids and stuff, but when you come in and say they're coming from all over, there is another draw to bring people into town. That's what to me, is what it's all
So I was
about.
thinking like wider, maybe further back. I would hate to get rid of those trees right next to it. Those things have been around for a while, so I would like to go closer to the parking lot, maybe further back.
Something here.
Kim?
There's some restrictions because some of that property was FEMA buyout. So we would need to check into the restrictions that are available and what we can and cannot put on all those properties. So that's something just to be aware of. I'm not saying you can't do it, we just need to make sure.
So whatever you propose, we'll have to get okay on it. It's not gonna be really any different than what we've got, just expanding. So,
I think the
Yeah.
priority though is repair of what we have first, so it's safe, right?
yeah.
Perfect.
Yep, right.
Gary, correct me if I'm wrong, but you have the park board support, and anyone you communicate with, send them our way. Whatever we can do to help, and then if you're up for improving our park, we're with you.
Yeah.
Come out to public meetings and stuff, so.
It's entertaining, isn't it?
They're really mad.
See what happens when you do.
But at least, I'll send them your way. I'll at least give the contact info or at least funnel the information, so.
Great.
Yeah, it'd be great to have you, our contact person, and interested in, and, we'll do whatever we can do we know we got repairs to do on it.
Awesome, thank you for coming.
I want to paint that street view one.
You want to what?
The street view ramp, want to paint it maroon with 2 white windows on it to match the covered bridge. So it's like a mirror image.
I see what you're saying.
But I want Derek's face in one of the windows.
Nice.
Okay. Anything else that you need? Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. We got you down further in the list, so if you don't mind, just stick around till about 8. No, I'm just kidding. We're gonna jump to them next, right?
Yep.
Mike?
Yeah.
Yep. So, okay, give us what you got.
Okay, so I called Mike a couple weeks ago, and I was calling him because I was trying to see if I could run an event out here. I was a part of the Professional Disc Golf Association. I am a local club director of a disc golf club and also a tournament director for PGDA Professional Disc Golf Association events. Basically, over the last 2.5 years, I've run over about 30 plus events in the kind of southeastern Minnesota, from Rochester to Casson, Manorville to Mazeppa to Winona, St. Charles, like really in this kind of small region. Because the biggest issue has been for this area specifically is the lack of full-size courses. In all of this entire area, the Rochester area, you had one 18-hole disc golf course that was close enough for anybody to go to, and that was the IBM IRG Park that they had over at that old complex. And so basically disc golf has exploded over the pandemic. We have seen about 100,000 new members join in the last 2 years. From what it is to what it is now, and getting out to play disc golf. And basically, I guess the goal when we came here to discuss about it is to discuss, Mike mentioned that you were looking to add on 9 holes and add more to the community. And what I like to say is that with disc golf, the amount of pro nature people within the community it's incredible. We're all about nature. We're all about keeping everything as least invasive as possible, not tearing down trees, not doing things like that, but to conserve what we have there.
To add to that, we like to use the natural landscaping as part of our course design.
It's the beauty. The beauty of disc golf is that at disc golf, you don't have to go buy 50 acres to build these greens out and manicure it all. It's something that you don't have to put a lot of effort to maintain. You mow it maybe once or twice a month. You make sure things look nice and neat, and it's super inexpensive.
And on top of that, the disc golf community as a whole is very proactive in keeping the courses clean ourselves, as far as all the players that play this game are, if we go out and there's sticks in the walkway, we'll throw them off to just to kind of add to what he's saying as far as, pro nature and that sort of thing. The community of disc golf players is very proactive in keeping it as clean and neat as possible as well.
And so basically, I'm the president of the Southeastern Minnesota Disc Golf Club. Basically, we have over 100 members in our club, and we have specific people who are course ambassadors, basically people who are assigned to courses to make sure that they're kept in their basic communities of those courses. People who are part of the community, part of the city, they're the ones making sure that the course is being upkept, making sure that they're working with the city, they're working with the people to make sure that it's something that can be reused over and over and over again. If you look at Rochester's just spent, I think it was almost $3 million on their Game Haven 27-hole disc golf course. Now, a lot of that was because they're Rochester and they have a lot of money to spend. You don't need that kind of money to make a disc golf course. To make a small disc golf course, it can cost anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000, including the tee pads, the baskets, and that's about it. It's so affordable, and it's something that's cheap and cheap and affordable for anybody to get into. Like family, people, like to buy discs, $8, $9, you get 3 discs, you go out and play, you have a good time. It's something that is, I think, a very family-friendly sport, and also just gets you out and doing something, something fun. And so basically, I've designed plenty of temporary courses on 9-hole courses to run events. I'm running an event in Mazeppa in 2 weeks called the Mazeppa Mashup. We're adding 4 holes to make that because you need at least 13 holes to make it PGA approved and to run an event. And so basically we bring in temporary baskets and do things like that. And kind of the goal was, I was talking with Mike, and is to kind of run an event at here to show people that there is a beautiful, because I've been out here, this is a beautiful place. This park is gorgeous. And basically anywhere from, typically when I run events, anywhere from about 80 to 140 people will come out to play an event. And the beautiful part about that is that most places charge money to use those facilities. And that's something that we're more than happy to pay. Like Game Haven in Rochester, they charge $250. Bear Cave in Stewartville, they charge $200. You have Winona, they charge about $150. It's a kind of a varying price, but the thing is that you get to, people can reserve this to run those approved events to bring not only people to the town of Zumbrota, but also bring income to local businesses. People getting food after their first round for lunch, they're going to go to all these local businesses like Pizza Cabin, like places for businesses to kind of get a lot of revenue just by them being here. And so I'm also, I own my own disc golf business as well. I run this business called X14 Disc Golf. I'm a disc golf manufacturer and distributioner. Basically, I make discs, I get baskets, everything like that. And if you were to go and buy and use, like, go hire a course designer and all this other stuff, it can cost upwards of $50,000 just to get that all done. There's one guy, his name is Kale LaVisca. He's like Minnesota's golden child when it comes to disc golf. If you want to look him up, Kale LaVisca. He's designed plenty of courses. He's the one who designed the Game Haven course in Rochester. But his fees to design a course run up to about $25,000 to $30,000 just to be a designer, to be hired on. And that's all he's doing, is just looking at where it goes and, putting it out. As a nonprofit community, a nonprofit club specifically, our goal is we're volunteer based. We're not trying to get we're trying to grow the sport. We're not trying to get money and do things like that. So we have plenty of people who want to come out, want to sponsor T-pads, want to sponsor holes, basically pay money to make sure that they happen. They're more than willing to do that. That's the cool part about disc golf. And so, I mean, that was, I guess, my biggest rant of the day is that. So I guess I don't, any questions or things you have for me?
Just one comment, and we need the gentleman's name to your left again.
Kirk.
And then I just told Fred before the meeting, we had been working with John Stelzner, and he was just a local guy too, looking to expand that golf course out there, and he's going to help us. I just got an email from him yesterday that they're moving out of the area, so he's no longer available. But he was, it was nice to have him around because he really got us thinking about expanding that. He was big into that disc golf.
What do we currently have?
9 holes.
9 holes.
Yep. And it's a great little course. Like, I bring my kids down there all the time. I live just up the road. And like, when we're not going to Rochester on the weekends, the little kids play at the park. Me and my older girls will go toss 9 holes, But like Mike was saying, since I've started playing at that course, I've always kind of been itching to see it grow, If we had, like you said, if we had 18 holes here, we would bring in more players, and more players as as we were all discussing, it brings in revenue to the town,
Yeah, Stelzner said it. That's why he was interested in doing that. He said, I want to host some tournaments down here and stuff. So
that's what we're very interested in,
So what was the minimum number of holes again?
13 hole.
13 be a PDGA sanction.
We could actually do that in stages too.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
of course.
absolutely.
You don't.
If we wanted to get the 13, we could have 4 in budget for it as we go.
And
Right,
I would
yeah.
love to come out. Also, I was going to talk with Mike about running an event here to kind of showcase kind of what it could look like for y'all, so you can kind of see what people come out to hear, like what it looks like. Because I mean, I have the resources. I have basically I put out an event. I have registrations. It fills up, and I'm at a max every time 90 to 140 players, depending on how I format it, what I do.
And like the other thing that, when he says players, we have all different divisions. I mean, we've got juniors, we've got a whole range of male divisions, a whole range of female divisions, age protected divisions. It's not just for like one group of people. There is a protected age division or open divisions for everybody, for me, for my kids, for professionals, for amateurs, for people that have never played and just want to start a tournament. You come in and you play in the rec division, you play for a couple free discs or whatever the case may be. It gets you your foot in the door, and it's an entirely inclusive community as far as.
The goal on these, are most of the courses 13?
Most goals are 18.
There are 18. So our final goal would
be 18
to get an
holes.
18.
Yeah, 18 holes
that
would be the end goal.
So the thing to do would be to see a plan for a full 18. And then just start with, so we know what the end game is going to be. So it's kind of an organized flow to expansion, right?
Yeah.
And can you draw that plan?
Oh yeah, I'm quite ahead. I draw. I'm really I get excited and I get so I have it all. I can bring it to the next town hall meeting or whatever it needs to be brought to. I can show the plans and how to, because also I'm certified in nature conservatory. Not I don't have a bachelor's or anything like that. I'm a part of the community called the Nature Conservancy. Basically to know kind of what, to make sure that where you're putting stuff is not interfering with the natural nature. That's not the goal of putting in a course. You never want to go and just destroy something, natural habitat. You want to make sure to take into account the biodiversity of what is around, especially with the riverbanks and, the floodplains, like what species are living there, what needs to be done to protect them, things like that. How can we, protect the nature that is around that course as well. And it's always kind of it's a big thing for us is not to destroy the natural habitat, to not destroy species not coming back just because we have people out there throwing discs, that's not the goal.
So I think if I got your request right, you were looking to be able to host some sort of a tournament?
Yeah, also some sort of a tournament to kind of showcase kind of the potential in Zumbrota, and I'm trying to kind of look at a date that might be applicable for y'all that's not on anything that you have planned during the park. Kind of approve kind of where the added holes would be, because the nice thing about disc golf is I can put up flags, and that signify where you throw from, and then I just put a basket. There's not
permanent changes that have to be made to make temporary holes.
That on your event.
Yeah, it wouldn't be permanent. I can pick up the flags, I can pick up the basket, it's gone.
And it's done, right?
Yeah.
You event before we do an expansion.
Yeah, and then kind of showcase kind of what it might look like.
We would expand on that 9. So in order for us to have an event, we'd add 4 holes is what he's saying. But they would be completely temporary. So we'd put a couple flags down. This is your tee pad. We'd put a basket out. But when the event is over, we'd pick up all that stuff and it would just be your 9-hole course again.
Right, and you would use the 9 holes that are there.
Right.
Yeah, correct.
I mean, I've walked around there and it's not really, unless user friendly, of where to go from next
So
one.
we all use UDisc, and that the course is on UDisc. So it shows you a map and then you just follow it. But it would be.
But for the person that comes just off the street.
So
right.
I went out looking
like the T sign, the course maps. those are super affordable. I manufacture tee signs for $40 a piece. And those are like nice to have the pictures that tell you what the par is, how far the distance is, and it knows, and you kind of get to look, and those are all $40 a piece. I mean, you have to pay for like the post and whatever that might be, but
So with that, do you do, like, when someone else to sponsor a hole, like maybe buy a cage, you put that on the
you put the sponsor right there at the
sponsor?
bottom. It doesn't have to be really big at all. It's just saying, hey, this is the person who sponsored this hole. Every time they go out and play that course, they see that person's or that business as a sponsor.
So what would it like? What would you say a cost of a sponsor to sponsor one hole would be? $300 or?
$300. Yeah, like $300 to $350 to sponsor a hole.
Yep.
And that's kind of where it is online. I get disc golf baskets. If you were to buy them like from a disc golf company, you pay $350 to $400. I get them for $220, and so basically you can save as well. Instead of having to pay $400 for the same level of basket that I get for $220. So tee pads, they like concrete tee pads. I mean, that's a big thing, but also a lot of people have turf tee pads, just basically putting artificial turf down, and it keeps the nature feel of it. And I prefer those more than concrete, in my opinion. I've always enjoyed just the turf tee pads because they keep the nature aspect. You're not like looking at something that's an eyesore in the middle of a park. You're looking out there and it blends in. Like you kind of see a little bit of like a raised like platform where that tee pad goes. And it's cheaper than concrete too.
How was that fastened down then?
Basically, it's kind of like staples and screws. So you get like some 2x4s and you kind of raise up the platform. It costs. So if you were to pour concrete costs about $900 per tee pad. For an artificial tee pad, it can cost anywhere from $200 to $400 depending on what materials you buy, if you buy it in bulk, things like that. And it's just a little bit more more aesthetically pleasing and more. It's just nicer in my opinion.
I'm just looking at a lot of them tee pads would be in the high flood area, where the current is.
Yeah.
So if there's a way, I don't know if we can.
I mean,
we take them up when we know. I don't know.
So the cool thing about that, if you have these turf tee pads, there are some that you can have be kind of as just like the baskets. Baskets can be pulled and moved, so they don't get damaged. They have like a little locking collar on them, so you can like unlock them, pick them up, put them away if there's a flood, so you don't lose them or they get damaged. The same thing you can do with an artificial tee pad is have basically a lock in place on the kind of back side that you can just unlock. You can pick it up and it can go away. It'll leave like the foundation there, but I don't know if you can't just like take it all up per se, but I know that you can take like the top part of the artificial turf.
I think the other thing too, though, is if we know that we're going to put them there, we can design them to be usable without having to remove them as well,
For sure, yeah.
Just use pressure treated and stuff and, make them so that they're fairly permanent as far as if we're going to go with a full 18-hole course, just that when the flood comes, they'll weather the storm, so to speak. That's most places, like he was saying, a lot of places have concrete pads. And I mean, we play on courses that we have to modify our tee pads from week to week because that one's flooded but that's the other thing about it is, we're very adaptable, so to speak. So
that we're on the same page here.
Yeah.
So you guys, like, who did, I'm just asking this.
Yeah.
I mean, you're willing to design like a 18-hole course out here, and you could put together what each hole would cost with the pad and the sponsor plaques and the other stuff.
Yeah.
And then would there be a group from your
Yeah.
organization that would come and do this then, or?
Yes, all volunteer based.
All volunteer based, right?
Yeah, they would come out.
So
they would do-
mainly, we just need to find funding to, because I don't think there'd be a problem going out and getting 19 sponsors for a hole for $300 in town here, real fast like.
Right.
So, and that's kind of what you're looking. So I just don't, so all this that you're talking about, the design and all that, wouldn't cost us anything?
No, it wouldn't cost, we're nonprofit.
Right, we're literally just trying to expand courses, build courses, and grow the sport.
Yeah, that's, you have some people who are in it for the money, who are in it to like.
I mean, personally, I'm in it because I live up the road and I would love to have 18 holes and I can come play golf at every day, you know?
As the goal of like, of the disc golf club is our goal is to make, because like if you go up to the cities, there are all these tournaments happening, all these beautiful courses that are rated super high. We have up in kind of past in Bethel, near Bethel, Minnesota, it's called Blue Ribbon Pines.
VRP, yeah.
VRP is the number 3 rated course in the entire world. Minnesota has, in its rating right now, has the top 4 state in the entire United States for disc golf courses. The area that lacks the most is our area, southeastern Minnesota. We have no courses down here that are 18 holes.
So would you leave the 9 the way they are? Would you kind of redesign the whole thing? It doesn't matter to me.
It's going to be a complete redesign because as it is right now, there's a lot of, I think, conflict. Like there's a lot of walking paths and stuff to kind of take into account. You don't want to interfere with that. You don't want to, because there's, in Winona, they have one that's right on, like there's walking trails and then there's a basket right here and the tee pad's over here. And so you're having to watch pedestrian traffic.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We don't want that.
We want safety above everything.
Yeah, because I don't want, no one wants a disc to hit a kid in the head and
nobody wants to get hit with a disc. I mean, to be completely fair, you know? So like he said, I mean, taking all that into consideration, it would be safer in the long run to do a complete course redesign. The basket locations will probably, I would imagine they will stay where they are for the most part as far as that's concerned, but the way we throw to them and move about the course would change.
Yeah, it basically just to kind of make sure that you keep the nature, you don't disturb nature that doesn't need to be disturbed. Like to make sure that we're using parts that are already, available for us and to use. And to make sure that pedestrian and other people using the park can use the park without the fear of getting hit by a disc or hit, like that. So like it's something that it would be a complete course redesign. And I've already completely done that because I get ahead of myself and I like to think and stuff. And so, but I can definitely kind of bring what that might look like. How would it cost? A whole breakdown. What it would cost to get signs, what it would cost to get like the T-posts, what it would cost to get the big course map so people know where to be. And then kind of talk about where parking might be or where you might start parking. Because if you get a lot of people out here, you want to have an adequate parking space. And I don't know if you have
for here, we got, across the way, a big parking area.
Yeah.
And there's some parking there.
And so basically you want to have like your first, tee pad there so people can flow out of that and then come back to that so that, they can kind of finish up over there. So basically that's about, I think it is, it's super cheap. We have the people who are more than willing to volunteer out here to put it all together.
Well, in my opinion, I guess, all I can say is thank you, Lord, for bringing Derek and you gentlemen to us. I mean, because this is just totally awesome, I think. So if you want to bring that for the next meeting, if that's possible.
I can do that. 100%. I can bring it
And
up
then
here.
an event, if you want to have an event, I think.
Do you know when that would be?
I mean, I was thinking of having it sometime this May, if possible. But I mean, I was thinking of maybe mid-June as well. Maybe, I think, what's the date? Let me pull it up.
Well, it really doesn't matter, Doug, whenever.
Yeah.
Memorial Day weekend might be tough because that's when the flags are down. We have the the flags out, right?
Okay, let me take a look here. The date I had in mind was the 22nd of May, or I had in mind the 18th of June. So the 22nd is a Sunday, and the 22nd of May is a Sunday, and then the 18th of June is a Saturday. So to kind of have that event out here, we can make an event payment. I don't know what that you would like from that, or what we would need for a course reservation. Like I said, it's anywhere from $100 to $250. That is like the standard. You can talk to Ben Volz in Rochester. He's the person I coordinate with in Rochester for their Parks and Rec, and they charge a $250 flat fee for a reservation for one day. So it's a way to also get income back into the city after doing that. So it's a great way to boost businesses and keep generating income so that you're not losing things like that. So yeah.
Well, my opinion on that is there wouldn't be a fee. I'm just speaking for myself, and you can.
I would agree.
I would-
Add something if we could, just to push pool fundraiser donations, if we can add that to the tournament, a bucket or a sign or.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Like if you, like,
Just have a bucket at every tee and just have a sign that says donation for the new pool.
If you could raise $6 million.
Yeah.
So I would like to actually put that in as a motion that he can have that event here.
Can I,
Mike,
Guys,
Mike?
a donation is for expansion of the course.
Right. I was just.
I mean, the thing is that what I can do as well is I have raffle items like a temporary basket or something like that I can put in and make it a raffle. You pay $5. Everybody pays $5 for a raffle ticket, and then, whoever wins it gets that cool thing, but then all the other funds go out back to the town. And so that's just the goal is we're not trying to take away any money. We're trying to keep the money in the city so that the place can be developed. That's never have been our goal to not stop growing. We just want to grow the sport of disc golf. That's kind of just our end goal here.
Great.
Through City Hall.
Absolutely. All right. Here's my thoughts. Expedite the disc golf improvements for this summer, May or June, because we're ready for it. Let's get this going with our disc golf. Let's improve it. Let's add the holes, whatever we can do. I think we're ready for it fund-wise, right? Second is use it as a advertisement of sorts for our pool, but support financially the disc golf improvements just with our budget as is. So then if we can, then we design the pool as your parking lot, and then one of your first tees will be off the pool parking lot, and there's a basket there, right? So maybe you have like a little flow off the pool. So does that make sense? And then that would be like the motion is to like expedite this, do the tournament, fully support it. We thank you for designing whatever you need for support. And it's a great presentation, by the way. And whatever you need for support to get this done, we need this help to get it done this season. So.
Brian, are we kind of ready for the pool? I mean, like fundraiser, we kind of want to announce.
No, they
that.
don't want to fundraise. Burbach does not want to start fundraising until we have a number.
I think we just want
So
to
we're
leave
ways
the
away from
pool
that
part
yet.
of it out of this whole.
We are 6 months probably.
Can I ask just a silly question? So is the pool and the park all part of the same department, so to speak?
The pool and the park are all part of the park
No.
board.
They are not part of the same department. They are two separate funds, and I think we have to be careful how we fundraise and how we do that. And I think we have to let Burbach be the driver in this, or whoever we decide to go with for the pool. So I think that raising funds for the disc golf is awesome, but I think we need to kind of focus on one thing at a time here with that, and kind of keep it with that, and for maintenance and upgrades.
Kim is our
financial person.
Yep, so she's our voice of reason when it comes to dollars.
Well, that's why I kind of was asking, because I mean, as far as like Mike was saying, we're not opposed to spreading the wealth to wherever it's got to go in town, you know? Like that's kind of what we're about. By growing the disc golf sport and by growing our sport, we spread that out to wherever it needs to go, you know?
It goes back to the city. That's the main goal. It's not, the city is the primary place. So we want to make sure that they're getting the multitude of what the benefits are. They're getting the benefits, and it's also helping to grow people's awareness of what might be in this area. They're like, oh, I came to Zumbrota. There's really cool places over here.
Because there are guys that, I mean, that will look on the UDisc app to find a tournament, and as soon as that pops up, they're like, oh, we're going there this weekend. You know what I mean? And like you said, it brings new faces and new people, and the people that come here, if they say, hey, that was a really fun course to play, that was a great little town, they're going to come back, you know?
And there's a campground right there.
Yeah, look at that.
We just need to put a brewery in the park.
I'd like to make a motion to give Mike permission to host a tournament on our current 9-hole course with the addition of 4 temporary holes, and permission to go ahead and raise some funds for the future expansion that he will eventually design and bring back to our next meeting or to a future meeting after he has raised those funds and hosted the thing. Just give us an idea of the exact date, if it's going to be the 22nd or the 18th. So we can go out there and help promote that with you and be out there and see what kind of crowd comes in and how that does very well. I think it's an excellent idea. So I would like to make that motion.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you so much, you guys.
Thank you.
We appreciate
You got
it.
their contact information? Okay.
Derek,
Yeah.
you
Thank
do
you.
it.
Thank you for,
Appreciate
it's a
it.
pleasure to
Yep.
talk to y'all.
Yeah, thank you.
You did great. You did great.
I would like to be
Yeah.
Got the same results.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, no, it was a pleasure getting to meet y'all.
Thank you.
No worries about anything.
What is, do you know what Dick's
Dick's here probably for the Field of Honor.
Field of Honor, okay? All right, thanks, guys. Dick, you're up then.
This shouldn't take too long.
We heard that before.
We made you stay here almost 2 hours. You can take as long as you want.
I was on this board about 40 years ago, and I don't remember anybody ever coming to the meeting, so times have changed.
Yeah.
Progress.
We've got Fred now, and he seems to attract
campground back.
I have a question for you. We have the campground then.
No, I don't believe it has been developed yet.
Oh, wow.
So that wasn't part of, our duties. And you're the one. I told my wife, meeting's at 6, I should be home by 6:15.
Oh, she's gonna wonder where you are.
Well, I'm here for the Zumbrota Lions, representing the Zumbrota Lions, asking permission to use the park for this year's Memorial Day Field of Honor. Howard Ann and a couple of other veterans who have been doing a lot of the work in the past couple of years have asked us to come in and kind of take over the responsibility for it. They still have a lot of work to do with the Memorial Day Parade and the program out at the cemetery. And so, not being a veteran myself, I didn't understand this don't volunteer for anything. So I have kind of taken the lead in trying to keep this going. I look on it as more of a community project with the idea that we're thanking and honoring the veterans with this Field of Honor, and we'd like to keep it going. So it'll be the same as in the past down below the covered bridge. And Mike said that we need to, do I need to call 811? We'll take care of that.
Okay,
You
all
just
right.
let us know, I guess we know. You already set up the day.
Right, yeah.
You set up on a Friday?
Well, we're not sure yet. We're meeting Thursday to get all that set, so.
And still planning on having community involvement, helping everybody
Yes.
come out and put out the
Yeah,
flags. That's a big hit.
I've visited with a couple of groups at school and we'll put something in the paper asking for volunteers. And I've worked with them the last 2 years and we've always had enough help to,
it's not a problem. It's just somebody's got to get it organized and see that things get done.
Correct. No, it's a great hit. I've been out there every single year with all three of my children, helping put flags out and take them back down, rain or shine. So it's a great event.
Last year I left just before the taking the flags down, thinking I'd run home for a few minutes and come back. And by the time I got back, they were all down. There were so many people that came out to help with that. So I'm not worried about finding enough help. It's just getting
Absolutely.
organized.
I'll make a motion to give the Lions permission to redo the field of flags. Absolutely.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you so much for
Sorry,
taking that.
sorry.
I just have one comment about that though. Last year, did you guys provide them with a restroom? I think you did.
Do we have one down there for soccer anyway?
No, I was gonna ask
They were
you.
gonna move one down there, but I don't know if they ever got one.
Yeah, we usually have one down there for soccer.
No, we didn't because I had to go home to go potty.
Well, no, there were two down there.
They were.
Overnight.
And
Yep.
I asked Howard, but he wasn't sure where they came from.
Mhm.
I'll get the.
I know that I paid those bills last
Oh, yes, they were there. I remember
Yeah.
that.
year. Yes,
Because
know
I-
that we did that.
Instead of
Yeah.
having it run all the way across to the, part of the bathroom.
Or this one here, or, yeah.
I think we decided to move some porta pots down there.
Yep.
So I'll
Yep.
take care of it.
Okay, sounds good. Because we want them right as soon as possible in for soccer, right?
Yes.
They had a specific place, and Howie will help you with that. They
Right.
had a specific place they wanted them placed last year,
Yeah.
so we'll make sure we get.
They were right behind the tent that we had set
Yeah,
up.
we had specific ones that just were placed for this event.
Yep.
Oh,
Just the
okay.
event.
But we still want to get one for the soccer, don't we?
So community ed said they would take, they took care of it themselves. is what
Oh,
Julie
okay.
told me, and I don't think they got one moved down there, did they? So they must be all right. Bathroom across the way is open. It gets to be a ways for.
On the flats? Okay.
This one up here.
This one is open.
Yeah, this one.
Whichever direction I'm going here. The lower bathroom down below.
That's
The ones that we're
library
replacing?
over there.
Yep.
Are open?
Right,
Okay,
Library's right there.
right out that window,
right here.
right behind.
Library's right over here.
No, library's right behind you.
Thanks, Dave.
Library's right over there.
Thank you.
Right there.
Mary, will you make it there?
What?
Yeah, the pavilion's right there behind Miranda.
Oh, yeah.
Literally right
Band
there.
tonight? No, I totally missed that.
But you'll arrange with the
Yes,
band for
Yep.
opening ceremony.
yes.
Okay.
It's only been 2 hours.
Thank you.
Yeah, but
Okay.
I've been stress drinking my water
don't-
so that I
I
wouldn't
know.
say something that would get me in trouble.
Yep.
Yes, thank you.
I mean, there's a lot all around.
Thanks again, Jeff.
Yep.
Remember the first part?
So if you enjoyed it,
Come back.
I thought it opened in the year.
I think you signed up for stuff. My wife told me to stop signing up.
You're up for it then. Sign up for it.
Okay, we're all over the board here. I don't know. Where do we want to go from here?
You want to do some oh, no.
I mean, we want to talk about the lifeguard stuff and
You might as well.
I did my homework finally on private lessons.
Okay.
So the smaller town that's about the size of Goodhue, they charge $20 an hour. They pay the lifeguard directly, and there's no charge for the pool usage. So it'd be $10 a half hour, I assume. You guys do half hours, right?
Yeah, I mean, they've done, in the past, I think we did half hour just because that's what was offered as through the city. That's what we offer for regular lessons, there's 40 minutes.
Yep.
But I think, yeah, that's a potential for sure.
Sorry.
And the other town that was about the size of Zumbrota, they charge $18 an hour, so it'd be $9 for a half hour. The guards get 11 of that $18 of the private lesson. They go through the pool to pay because they said they were having issues with parents paying with checks and checks bouncing. So that's why they pay through the pool. And then they also don't charge to use the pool.
So, Kim can speak to this too, but I think we should go through the
Yes.
city so that we can pay the appropriate taxes on that.
Absolutely, it needs to go,
We
they're
have to
working
pay
at the
taxes
pool
every
as
month.
our employee, that's a payroll issue in it, so legally, it should go through their payroll. That's, I mean, I know other places do it differently, but I like to be on the straight up and up.
Yeah, that was my research that I.
No, and I know that everybody does it differently, but I don't think that, you know, and I like the fact that they don't have to go and worry about somebody paying them, like you said, with some bounce checks and all that stuff, so.
So can you tell me what it said in there? For what? There was like a.
My memo.
And then
Yeah.
Kim, with that, if we're doing it that
Who
way,
said that?
then the lifeguards are covered even though they're doing a private license or lessons with insurance, right?
Correct, yep, they're in our pool and we know about it, it's very transparent. I think that's always what they're looking for with payroll and liability issues.
And I know the question at the last meeting too was if the lifeguards can keep all of the revenue, and the answer to that, Kim said, was yes. We don't have to keep a cut of it or anything.
I was gonna say, if we could do something.
If we could do something like where whatever we charge, say we charge $20 for the private lesson per an hour, could that be paid to the city, but then instead of paying the lifeguard their hourly wage at that time, we just pay them that $20? You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So like, we're not paying them hourly on top of that, but there's just.
We could
Otherwise,
set up
they're
a private lesson wage.
Okay.
and Do it that way.
But they're still gonna get taxed on it. And it's still gonna run through, but everything's gonna be legal and legit.
All up and up, but I just think it's hard to find guards that want to teach a private when they're not making any more, and if they did it
Yep,
somewhere else,
yep.
they're making
Get
more
it.
money.
Totally get it.
Right. Okay, I like that. I'm good with it. So we don't really have to change anything or need a motion at all? Do we need a motion to be able to approve a lifeguard or a private lesson wage?
Yes, because.
Motion to approve the new lifeguard lesson.
Yes, because currently the people that are doing the private lessons, they just pay the city, and the lifeguards just get their standard wage. So we would be completely changing it.
Set up something, so then
Private
they
lesson wage.
get their private lesson wage, then you guys have to have a motion to approve.
So you guys would have to set a wage and then motion on that wage so that we can get that set up.
So the only comps we have are the 18 and the 20?
Yes.
It doesn't necessarily.
They have to happen tonight, as we'll have another meeting before the pool opens. So it's, I mean, but it's just kind of up for discussion that way, but I like that setup where we charge, and then that's what the guards are paid.
So
during that
maybe
time.
could you ask some of your guards that have done this other places, how they?
Yep.
And come back.
I'll
maybe
look
with
for
some
more comp.
suggestions.
More
So
comps.
could we just make it generic though, that the lesson cost will be set by the director of the pool, and then the lifeguards will be paid a lesson wage that is equal to the lesson cost? And then you just set it, and then that's what it is.
Because then it doesn't cost the city anything different, because it's coming from.
Right.
I'd say between her and Kim.
Yep, and you can figure out what that
what that
lesson
wage
cost
would be
should
and
be, and then you'll know what the lesson wage will be.
Okay, I like that.
And then that way it covers you for doing it next year. You can just follow that same pattern next year, and we don't have to revisit it every year.
Okay.
I second that.
Okay.
Did you get that, Miranda?
But then this would be just lifeguards?
What's
Just the
that?
lifeguards that you hire would be doing this, or have hired?
Yeah, so they would have to be hired through the pool and be a lifeguard that works at the pool in order to teach private lessons at the pool, so that they are an employee through the city already. Not anybody outside. Yeah.
Everybody understand the motion in a second?
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Who seconded it? Was it Troy?
That was on the private lessons. Was there some change on the wages here? I see we got lifeguard wages. Or were we leaving that the same?
That's still just the same discussion of.
Let's leave that as is for now. I'll look for other comps as I'm talking to, I'm emailing the good to you lady right now. And like I said, we can readdress that if we need to, at the next meeting, but let's leave that as is for now.
That'd be awesome. You've taken up enough of our time on that. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Okay,
Okay, wait,
We
can I
better-
share one more thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Nice.
Ready? Got it. Okay. I just wanted to share that I did post the swimming lessons sign up link tonight. We did it online. Last year we did it in person. And we went through the Sign Up Genius. And it has worked very well. I think I've had like 90 different people that have signed up, and that's not to say that they haven't signed up through other things, since 5 o'clock. So I had 60 of them within the first 20 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
I
it was
logged in just to look at 5:01 because I posted it on the website.
Yeah.
And there was already at least 10 at 5:01.
Yeah, and I posted it on the Zumbrota Pool Facebook page at 5.
Oh my gosh.
So it went very quickly and it was very easy. I was able to set like limits, like this is how many for this time slot, and they can go in and select exactly what they want. They have to put in their memo who the kid is, it's required. It went so far I can create a whole report and see when everybody is signed up for what time. So Miranda and I have talked about this, it would be a very nice thing to be able to use in the future if you ever sign up for something, whether you require money or not. It was very slick and I'd be happy to share that with anyone, but I'm very excited about how it went.
I've got a question. How did we advertise that we were going to be doing that?
She posted it in the paper, and then she did it on the Facebook, and then I shared it on the city page.
So that evidently is an effective way to get the information out.
Communication, yeah.
And it was, I shared it with Cougar Care as well, so they
And
had it posted.
Oh, yeah, she shared it with
Cougar.
Cougar. And I did not send anything out on the communication app either.
Really? Okay.
Boom.
It's just interesting. We hear two different perspectives on the paper and communications here, and
We do.
so I think, yeah.
Sharing on social media and via the paper went very well.
Off topic, I just feel really discouraged about comments like that because I feel like since I've started here in 2019, that's all I've worked towards is more ways to include people. And I mean, I went through months of preparing an app and a communication system, and I feel like
You've done very well.
I love that.
I love the
Thank you.
idea.
Good job. And
I can pay my water bill on
unfortunately-
there. It's wonderful.
That was just my staff
story. I'm done now. We all have cell phones. Everyone has a cell phone pretty much.
And that was,
There's not gonna be an outpouring of support for people in favor of the campground because, they're in favor of it. Why are they gonna come down here and fight for it? And then we just have the negative pushback. So, you can't take it personal.
The other thing with the communication piece, you can see how interested everybody was in what else was going on with the park board because everybody.
Yeah, because they got up and left.
If they were that interested and wanted to stay that connected, they would find out what else was going on. That's just my, what did you call steps,
Yeah, that's your 2 cents.
My 2 cents.
Clearing of trees.
Yeah,
Okay.
just wait till they see the trees come down.
Oh, no.
They're gonna be back.
Well,
Replacing green
but
space.
I thought of that. We're relocating them.
We're relocating
Well,
the trees.
the good ones.
Yeah.
The bad ones,
They gotta go.
Right. Well, if there's that many nature people, we have plenty of volunteers to help clean it up and do it.
Yep.
Right?
okay, so, all right, yeah, we got a lot to do here yet. 8 o'clock.
yeah, I keep looking at it. I was
You
like,
want,
I can't
if you guys want me to resign after this, I have more, if you can get it done faster.
We're going to vote you in again.
You're done, Brett.
So campground rules, what do we want to do on that?
Oh, Lord.
Oh, there they are. I just included what we currently have for park rules. I don't expect you guys to do anything on it tonight. I did not include the previous ones that I included in last month's packet. If you guys want to look through it, compare the two.
I don't, especially with the meeting as long as it is there any need to, is there an immediate need to rewrite them or amend them this month?
No.
Then I think we can all review the stuff you put in there and then take that to heart. And if we have some more considerations before the expansion or anything else goes on, we could do it at that time. My only thing is that we did talk in length at the 3 public meetings about redoing the signage and redoing that stuff. Obviously, it's way too premature to make a new sign right now, but maybe a temporary sign that kind of re-emphasizes the stuff that we currently have right now, but making sure it's a temporary sign, at least legible out there.
And with that, like you said, most of the changes are gonna come with the new campground. But if there's something that should be addressed now, we can change it for the existing.
I think so.
Except for the one that we talked about back when we were gonna have that big shindig out here. We were gonna change the alcohol and put right in there, no keg alcohol. We talked about that way back.
That was for the park rules, that
was the shelter, yep.
Right, but I'm just saying that we talked about that. That's something that should get done before we run into that again. But aren't
that would be a bigger animal, because that's an ordinance.
That was in the ordinance.
Oh.
That wasn't just a rule, that was in the ordinances.
what do we have to do to, I mean, we talked about it, I just don't want to leave it hanging.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
No, I don't think that's such a bad idea to add to your park rules, that they can't have no.
Park
campers
rules.
at the campground.
Sure.
We can reinforce that other places too, it'd be easy to add to the campground.
So come back
Right.
with suggestions next meeting, is that what I'm hearing?
Okay.
Yep, I like that.
Ballpark benches.
Can I, hold on.
Oh, sorry.
I have, for the temporary sign, you guys want all the rules printed on it? Or do you want just like a generalized bulleted point?
I think,
We should finalize the rules before we do a sign. a new
Right.
sign.
Yeah.
I think if we are gonna change them before the end of the season, we could wait on the temporary signage.
Well, because I was gonna say, like, by temporary sign, has anybody been to the brush dump? There's a banner on there that says what you can and can't dump. I think I made that for $60.
Right.
Let's finalize it.
I was just, if he wanted to replace, because what we have out there now is pretty rickety, but,
So if we want to literally have a discussion about that next month and say these are going to be the park rules for the rest of the season, then I like that idea of just spending $60, putting up a temporary banner for the rest of the season. Here's the rules. And then we can tweak them and modify them before next season or before the giant RV park goes in.
Did we get a dedicated cell phone to to Donnie Holes?
I can.
I have his cell phone number, but I will talk to him to see, because he apparently has something posted at his campsite.
Okay,
I will see if he, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what he has posted there, so.
okay. Because we had talked about getting him a dedicated cell phone that he could pass. Right.
Wheels or travel.
And then have a number so that if he's not there, he could just hand the cell phone to whoever is covering for him. And they're not using his personal cell.
That could go right on the temporary sign.
Could do that, you guys would just have to approve it, and, because Brian, did you just look to see what it costs?
Be like 35 or 42 bucks a month or something like that, 35 bucks a month, something like that.
Pretty sure we already did that in the last meeting, didn't we? Approve that he would get a company or a city cell phone?
Did we motion that, or did we just say look into it?
I think it was a couple months ago.
Yeah.
I remember us talking about looking into
Yeah.
it, but I don't remember.
And it was
us
going to be
motioning.
a city publicized number forwarded to his cell phone or something.
Yeah, I believe it was, I don't remember what month.
Yep.
It was recent, I think it was last month.
Yep.
I
So
don't see it on here. on the
It's not
minutes.
in the minutes though.
Maybe it was 2 months ago.
Yeah, but I think it's there, so look it up.
Yep.
We need to make a motion on the trees.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Larry had us all, you got all this page of what he wants to do up there. He's got a bid from Schumacher's to, apparently Larry's gonna cut all the trees down, and this is just to take the stumps out.
So, maybe you wanna bring Kim, we just gotta be a little careful when we look at our budget. I mean, if we wanna hold off on the once you get the trees down, we can always take the stumps out. If we'd rather revisit, we got quite a bit of stuff on the books this year, yeah.
Did everybody get this sheet, Kim?
Yep, I have that sheet, yeah.
But did everybody in the park board receive that?
It was 2,800 bucks for removing stumps, Kim?
No, I mean.
Oh, I don't have that one, I mean.
That's
I
the
have
number.
Yeah, I have the cash sheet, I've kind of put everybody's projects down on it.
But did
And what you've
everybody?
been talking about as far as the park board and projects that you have committed to.
It's on the back. It's on the back of
Is it on the packet?
your priority list. It's on the back of your priority list in your packet.
So maybe we just want to run through that quick and just make sure that everybody's comfortable. I don't care. Your priority, I mean, it would be nice to get it, but at the end of the day, if that was a next year project, is that the end of the world too? But we got to look and see where we're at, cash wise, because we got a lot of projects out there. We start talking about baseball fields. I got the bench quotes. That's going to be $4,000 just for the baseball benches. Then we got to get the cement poured yet.
I think,
Get the old ones
I
removed.
think that we're on the softball field here. I know.
Yep.
I just kind of want to clarify that. I know when we first started, we were looking at $10,000 to go towards dugouts and everything.
Yep.
And I know it's jumped to 40,000 here. So where was so that's what we're looking for from the park board is $40,000 instead of 10,000?
Correct. So the concrete, the construction materials, the bench, the chain link fencing to go around the dugouts, that was all budgetary quoting in the numbers that I put together and shared with Mike and those guys. That was literally last fall, was $10,000 per dugout. So the 40,000 was something that I came back to the park board way last fall and was asking for that. And at the time, it was like, well, how much are you asking for? I was asking for 100%. Then they're asking like, how much are you going to fundraise? And we talked about the efforts over the last 3.5 years to try and get it there. And then it was going to be, well, let's talk to Kim and find out how much money we have and how much money we should put towards that. And it has all really gone nowhere other than the fact that several months back, I had reiterated that the banner efforts that we made several years ago had raised enough money at the time to cover almost all of the concrete work. And I got approval from the park board to just go ahead with that. So I recently this week had that quote refurbished and it went up by like $300. But he still thinks that he can get Creative Concrete, had quoted it, and he still thinks he could get that done before June. So
the concrete part.
The concrete part. So he can go in and flatten out where the current dugouts are right there and pour the slabs, just like we had talked about, 24 feet long by 8 feet deep that are there, 4-inch of concrete with rebar in there and get it all set up so we could put benches back on there.
And then just to tell you, Jim told me those benches are 6 to 8 weeks out.
So that the quote that I got, I see you also got different quotes, but I included that in the packet here, that Anthem Sports, they do have them in stock. Yep, so the Anthem Sports do have them in stock. And if we order up all 4 of them, their benches, which have backs on them, which would be very similar to what we have out there right now, but would be aluminum non-maintenance benches, are $1,269 each. And then their shipping and handling was $919, but that included like $100 extra charge on there for a lift gate because I had this quoted to my address. If we can find an address in town that has a loading dock where they can just wheel it off the back end of a semi, they literally will do that. And I think it reduces the cost by like $100.
And we can cut off the sales tax too if we ordered them through the city.
Correct. Yep. So then the $442 would be eliminated there. So it literally would be less than $6,000. That whole quote includes the shipping and everything there.
For the benches?
That's for the 4 benches, the aluminum benches.
For 6,000?
Yep.
So then I would have the concrete pads and 4 benches.
Correct. Then we, essentially what they've been using for years out there is no covered dugouts, no anything out there, mowing around the benches. The benches are wooden, they're, not secured. So I would like to see, at least for this year, if we can't do anything else, just to get the cement slab there, to get an aluminum non-maintenance bench there and just secure it down. If we don't have it in the budget to cover it, which I think we could still do some more fundraising if we absolutely had to. There's some more grant money for different things, like the Twins organization has field improvement thing that goes directly towards dugouts or infields. We could try and lobby for more of that money if we're really tight on funds.
So, and I didn't go out there tonight, but what was Larry looking for? Something to get done this year yet? As far as the stump removal? I mean,
that's $2,800 is what he's looking for to get the stump removal. So 6,000 for the benches, and how much for the concrete?
The concrete, I think, was originally quoted at $4,300. I just got, I can email it to Miranda again, but I think it was originally like $4,300 and it went up $300 from the last time he
So about
quoted. So I think it's like
4,500.
47,
47.
yeah, $46.99 or something.
But those dollars were there from those banners that you had.
Correct. So, yeah, I have roughly, and Kim can look up the actual numbers, but it's just under $4,000 in the banner fundraising thing that's been sitting there for like 4 years now.
So what you would probably, we were looking at is, well, the 6,000 for the benches then.
Correct. So tonight, yeah, I'm looking for the approval to get the $6,000 for the benches so that we can start getting that field back to usable.
So I had included the picnic tables. You would ask for prices. That's included, same place I had. Their picnic table prices were $12.30.70 for 8-foot ADA tables, and 8-foot standard tables were $13.35. You were looking to get 2 of them. I guess my recommendation is if you wanted 2 of them, we can swing that. And I would get 1 ADA one and 1 standard. I'd start with an ADA one for sure up there, you know, and then a standard table. That would be your 2 tables.
So in those new tables, where are they going?
On the shelter,
Oh.
on the deck up there.
Gotcha.
Because the ones that are up there now,
Yep, yep.
the war pillars. Yep.
I thought you were replacing the ones out at the ballpark too. Yeah, it all got kind of lumped together.
I was like,
Yep.
wait,
Yeah.
what?
Well, I think sooner or later, you guys would like to replace all the tables that way.
Oh, absolutely.
Make those free ones.
Right, a couple a year. You got the
Yeah.
pavilion down below, you got the ballpark
Right.
across the
We've got a
road.
lot of picnic tables
Yeah.
out there.
Plenty.
So we've got 40,000 in there for the bathrooms. That's gonna have to be, we're in the middle of that, so that has to be done. Other projects we got going are the dugout, so we can get that down to the 6,000 for this year. And I'm thinking this disc golf, they got 8,000 in there. I personally don't see a problem that we'd be able to raise that whole 8,000 on these sponsorship things, you know, especially with these guys, if they're willing to, you know, do a few, still can do their, whatever their event and stuff, so.
Olympics this summer. Disc golf, baseball, pickleball. Let's go all.
So if you leave,
Camping,
if you leave
RV
2,000 in
camping.
disc golf, then yep, six towards benches. Then.
Okay, me always being the voice of doom. I just want to put this out there. Again, it doesn't matter to me what you spend on. You guys got great ideas. There's a lot of projects going on. I just want to say that we are just at the start of the summer season, which is really the start of park season. And so I just, remember we're like any place else when we have things we have to do, and with our own personal budget, sometimes something has to give because we've got other things that come up. So I just want you guys to know exactly where you are and where you're sitting with your money, and so that you can make those discussions, because you have a lot of people that are going to come and approach you for different things, because you guys are very proactive and you want to improve things for the community, which I think is great. But we just have to always keep that in the focus of our mind. There might be some things we have to postpone, or even postpone till the fall, till we know how much money we've spent during the summer. So I just want to put that out there for you, and I'm happy anytime to send these numbers out to you. And I'm sorry I sound terrible. I'm home with COVID, so.
Cam.
It's okay.
I feel that.
Well, then we can't trust anything she says.
No, I'm pretty much, wonky.
No, I'd say if we do the priority list then, and then we put the stumps at bottom, baseball and disc golf towards the top. Baseball dugouts, I'm sorry. And a third one would be skate park. We're not funding anything for the skate park, but I was concerned about the stumps because yes, I want a clean look and the project is already underway and it would be great to just keep on flowing. But also I look at the ground and it is severely disturbed, and maybe the detritus is beneficial to the critters underneath that need to eat it right now. And maybe we let it sit and they eat up the the decay, and then we clean it after that.
Well, and like I said, that's your guys' decision. That's just the one thing, the way I look at it is, if the trees got down, which we're gonna have to get rid of those ash trees anyway, and the rest are box elders. I mean, once you get in there and grub, I have no doubt that area can get cleaned up. The stumps is just one area that, we could hold off on, if we need to, after we get through and look at the list. Because we could always get in and pull the stumps.
Yeah, but if you're envisioning that as green space through
Yeah.
those trees, then, we don't want to plant that and then come back next year and take all those stumps out and have to disturb all that and replant it.
Well, there's always that, but there's always a lot of that.
Yeah.
In a construction world, you would temporary seed everything anyway,
Well, and looking at the cash sheet here, it looks like the worst case scenario based on, and of course, it doesn't take into account what might come up along the way in the summer for maintenance, things like that. But, 57,000, if we get the grant for the campground, would be the balance. And then you've got your future projects below. Of that, 4,000 for the skate park maintenance, doesn't sound like that's probably going to happen. Or we'd be spending that because they're going to fundraise or try to fundraise that. So give or take 60,000 before the, So it's close.
Brian, I would put that $4,000 back in for the skate park, just because that's money that's been raised specifically for the skate park. Not that you have to spend it, but that's specifically earmarked.
Okay. So you got 57,000 to work with. How close do you want to cut it? For anything that comes up.
57 to work with?
Isn't that right? Balance? After, assuming if we get the park grant.
Right, but what's this thing? There's 97.
That's without the
That's
grant.
okay, so it's divided into two pieces.
That's the other side.
Yeah, it's divided into two pieces, Fred. So if you look at the top of it, you've got the park fund, which is the operating money, and then your restricted fund, which is the stuff that the campground's gonna come out of. And sometimes our projects come out of there, our bigger projects. And that's why I put your future necessary projects that you have coming up as well, which is the Park Road, which is going to be a big one. And all those things, because I think we need to keep a comfortable balance in your accounts. Yet you should keep at least 50% of your budget at the very least, usually a year's worth of your budget in reserve, so you can handle things that come across. So
there's a little room in that 97 then.
There is. I wouldn't. I'm, being me, a pessimist, I would be like, we would hang pretty tight to where it's at personally, but we could have a great year with camping. Maybe only tents will come, but maybe we'll have enough camping this summer so that we will have great camp revenue. And I know that our shelter rental, we did raise our shelter rental, and so I don't know if that's an amenity, but the shelter rentals have been being booked pretty well right now. Sorry.
Well, it sounds like that $8,000 disc golf is not a real priority. I mean, he's going to bring stuff back to us yet and stuff. I mean,
and he can bring in temporary
Stuff
to run the tournaments to promote the town and the park.
Even at the end of the summer, where our budget is at that time on the disc golf, the dugouts, we want to get that going. I think that countertop and sink that, we talked about up in the shelter, he's already put the plumbing in. So I'm thinking, and I think that's probably a pretty strong figure also, that for a cabinet and countertop all the way along. I think that should get done here as soon as possible, because they'll be using that coming up here
really soon. Yeah.
The dugout, or the out there, I think that's something we talked about, which hopefully, I'm telling you all this, Kim, to see if this is going to work. So, and the disc golf can wait, I think. I mean, I'd like to see you hold back on the disc golf and stuff and get that. I would like to see them stumps get done, being that that far on it.
I would too, yeah. That's how I.
I mean,
Bonus of the green space and everything, the potential of it continuing to go.
the critters that are living under there, they can go across the road down by the river and.
And then when he goes in there and cuts it, when he goes in there and cuts them and then they're all cut and then all of a sudden we just have stumps, then it's just gonna be, you know, we're gonna get them back in here complaining about everything being cut. And at least if it's cleaned up and ready to become green space.
But even at that disc golf is also, when we decide to do something this fall, it gives us all summer to do the sponsorship on it.
And these guys.
I think that would be probably a 100% donate, you know.
I think that there's gonna be no problem getting that donated.
So what I'd like to, this is my opinion, it's just because what I like doesn't mean it's gonna, you know, get a couple picnic tables, get the benches and the concrete going, well, you got money for some of that.
Yep, and the concrete was already approved.
And get that going and get the countertop and sink in there. And then of course we got 40,000 for that. So like immediately, and then if we have to push back some of these,
So we continue to have problems. Somebody broke into the pool, so we're gonna run out there. And we've got problems up at East Park.
They want to know if anything's missing.
What's that?
They broke into, or they busted into the bathrooms and got water running out of the door up at the East Park.
Just happened now.
Yeah, Shannon just called me. She wants us to go up to the pool and see if there's anything missing.
Was it a white van with a missing bumper?
So that white van was parked by
At the pool.
That van was sketch.
so he moved and he was over where the,
Thank you.
Yes,
in the other parking lot when we left.
yes.
And we had those 3 kids, those 3 girls and those 3 boys that were there while we were there. And they knew we were there because they kept looking at us.
Yes. But I knew that guy was doing something that he was not supposed to be doing, because he sat in that van for a while to see when we were gonna leave, and then he skeeted himself out of there.
I have a feeling it's good.
Also, I drove by, like, I watched him when we drove out, and he looked like he was tweaking. Not that I know anything about that, but I'm just saying, he looked suspicious.
Okay, so
What's your thought on that, Kim, are you listening?
Anyway.
I am listening. See, this is a perfect example of why I like to keep money.
I'm looking at this.
Yeah.
6,000 for the dugouts, 3,000 for the countertops and stuff.
280 for the stumps.
2,800 for the stumps.
And
Because we've got everything bought, I think, for the pickleball courts and everything. I think that's all there. It's just got to be installed. So am I missing something here, or somebody see something different?
3,600 for 2 picnic benches,
Oh, yep.
picnic tables.
So what's that come up to be? You know, if we do, I mean, don't have to do it. I'm just getting something started.
Right,
If we do what I just listed, it comes to
400.
like $15,000.
15,400. Right, Kim?
Do you get the concrete in that? Because that would come out of that money, right? Or do we have that separate? I'm not thinking very well right now, so.
Concrete for the dugouts?
The concrete
Yeah.
was already pre-raised with the banners.
I know, but the money, that money is already in the account, so you gotta remember that's in there.
Yeah, it's somewhere in
pre-raised,
there.
but
Just
we're
with
still
the
spending
note
it out
that
of the
says-
account.
It's in the account, it just has a note that it has to be used.
Exactly. But I mean, I'm just saying, you're spending out of that balance. It's not just like some extra money that's somewhere else.
Yeah, so that's still in that balance coming out of there is what she's saying.
Yeah,
It's in
that's
there
what I'm,
earmarked,
thank
it's just
you.
not listed separately
Right.
Yeah, thank you.
for whatever reason. The skate park money is listed separately, but the concrete banner money is not listed separately.
I figured in 6,000 for out at the ball fields.
For the benches, yeah.
So is she
Right.
then saying that,
I'm not even including the benches or for the benches.
Right, that is the
Concrete, I'm
bench
not even
request. The
adding in.
concrete was already pre-approved at a different meeting and the banner money was already put into the fund, so that's a wash.
Well, I would think we'd be able to do, Kim, I would think safely we'd be able to spend that 15,000 out of someplace there, right, to do, kind of get the loose
Yeah,
end
you can,
project?
I mean, you can vote on what you want to do. That's absolutely right. You know, it's no different than in your own checking account. If you've got $600 marked for, I don't know, a boat toy and you spend the $600, you're still spending out of your balance, but you've made plans for it. So totally up to you guys.
And just to clarify, Troy, that the skate park money is not listed separately in there. It's listed as a maintenance expense.
That's what I mean, it was a line item on the budget, is what I was saying.
Yeah, and the benches just weren't on there as a firm, you know,
Correct.
it wasn't, so that's got nothing to do with the balance that you see above. The balance that you see above includes everything, including the 4,000 for the skate park, the 4,000 or whatever, 6,000 that's in there, 4,000 that you've got in there for the banners. So it just happened to be that the skate park had been talked about as a expense that was desired.
Yeah, these are not the funds that are available. These are just what we are projected to spend on these things
Gotcha.
this year.
Okay.
So the up here is just where the
Yep.
money is in.
Right. So somewhere in that total cash equity has already been the deposit from the banner money.
Hey, Kim, I got one question where it says transfer out $16,000. I know 10,000 goes up there for the Kids Kingdom.
Yep.
Where's the other 6 go?
The other 6 goes to buy capital equipment for the city, which is trucks, side by side, all the equipment that's used, mowers, all those things that are used within the parks.
All right, that's our portion of it.
It's just a portion thereof.
Yep, okay, yep. Okay, so what do we?
I feel comfortable with the spending of $15,000 this summer to get things in shape. I do suggest holding off on things such as the stump removal, and I'm unclear on picnic benches of $3,600, the priority of it. Is it something needed this season if we could use existing ones, or I missed the mark on?
If we don't buy benches, we have to replace a bunch of lumber on the benches that are there because they're so warped. Yeah. So it's either, we have to, whatever treated lumber it would take to fix them, I would think probably $200, more than that, because I know not too long ago, non-treated 2x12, 10 foot was $50 a piece. It would probably take 4, 5, 6 of them to repair what's there.
Correct. Numbers. And Kim, my comment about not listening to you was fully in jest, and I super appreciate everything. So I hope that.
No, that's no big deal. Don't worry about it. Nobody listens to me. It's all good.
Just have fun. Just building a park here.
I listen to Kim. I gotta live with her all week. Well, not this week, but next week.
She is the financial voice of reason.
So yeah, I take heed of Kim actually and say maybe take out the stumps, but I just said it a third time. And that's my opinion on it. Let's go for it. Let's make a motion. It's the summer of 2022, and I have a premonition that things are just gonna get costlier by 2023, and we should be ahead of the curve here.
It's just gonna go up.
Yep.
So I will make a motion that 6,000 for the dugouts, benches, is that the right wording?
Yep.
3,000 for the countertop and sink, 2,800 for stump removal, and the purchase of 1 ADA and 1 standard picnic table. And he had the cost breakdown of that. I think he said it was $1,350 for the ADA and $1,250 for the standard, which would be $3,600.
Was the concrete in that motion?
Nope, that one was previously approved months ago.
Previously approved.
That was previous approved?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
We have a motion on the floor. Did everybody understand the motion? Michael second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Because the way already subtracted 4,000. I mean, it's already put in there for the skateboard maintenance, so if this guy comes back to just upgrade this, we've got that money for that. Well, it's already in there.
We
And-
still
and
would have
already-
to vote to
That
approve
would
it.
be part of the maintenance. Okay, so we'd be covered
Yep.
there, or if he
Correct.
comes back and say, hey, I
Yep.
get this plywood, and get it fixed up for the year for, okay, so we can, and then the expansion will be a whole nother,
That's good.
okay. Yeah, I
That's a
think this
different
will
armadillo.
be good that we can, you know,
That's for a different 3-hour night, Fred.
hey,
So
All
we have,
we're not done yet.
yeah,
Ballpark benches we did. Oh, why I'm in, oh, Mike's gone. I was gonna say, didn't we talk about these benches that are out in the middle of nowhere here? If you go where the old ballparks used to be.
Yep. Abandoned ones. Yep.
are you
Him.
pointing at the park or are you?
I'm pointing at the park out over
Down
here.
on
Down the old
the-
softball field?
Yep,
Yeah.
the old softball.
I just noticed them two benches. I thought we talked about we were gonna just get them out of there. Or we're gonna just leave them for
Kickball.
Backstop is gone, right?
The backstop's still there.
all.
Still there?
No.
Well,
The big wire mesh backstop, somebody took that down?
is that gone?
Oh, is that still there?
Yeah, that's still there.
I was gonna say, because that'd be a great spot for a wiffle ball field in the summer. Kids.
Actually, the best
All right.
spot for wiffle ball will be next to the skate park in the flood zone up there.
Okay, I shouldn't even bring that up because it's not even on here and we got it to go.
Let's put a plaque on those benches.
Memorial bench request.
Can we do that next, we'll talk about that next week,
Yep,
next month.
Memorial Park bench. Memorial bench request, is that from, what was that, Melinda? Memorial Park bench, Memorial bench request.
Back page.
It's all like they've already talked to Mike and stuff,
Mike, they've been talking, one of them, I think, talked to Mike, one of them talked to Brad.
so we just need an
Look
approval.
over the stuff if you like the, I think Brad included some pictures.
Yeah.
Go ahead and mark.
So the Pete Esser one, they'd like it down, oh, you know where that,
Yeah.
The sign is, talking about the old mill.
Yeah,
Yep. They'd like it somewhere in that area, kind of looking towards the river,
oh, that would be cool.
so
Do we have to pay for that or do they pay for that?
they pay for that.
Okay.
so they're just looking for permission to install it there.
Yep.
I make a
Okay.
motion to give them approval to install their benches at locations as shown in the pictures.
They
I'll
always,
second.
they always seem to go through Mike anyway. and-
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Then there's a second one there.
So we should hear that one first, then put them both all in the same motion? There's another request?
With
Yep.
where the dog is?
Right, both pictures are there.
And was that your
Here
motion
and
though, for
Right.
both benches?
Absolutely. They're-
Okay.
Yeah.
They're paying for benches, they want to install them where shown in the
So they want
photos.
two benches there?
Nope, nope, just one. There's a second one is this one. Second one is a
okay.
request from
Two
Larry
separate
Wellbeing.
benches.
Is that the one Mike was talking about, that they're gonna use benches that we've already got?
Yes,
With the Wellbang one, right?
yes.
Yes. Because Mike's got a pile of benches, so. Okay, so his motion was to allow the memorial benches to go out in the park. Got a second?
I'll second.
Mary seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
That one's gonna be by the pickleball court, it says.
Back over, you know.
So they can have a place to sit with pickleball.
Huh?
That'd be nice.
Pickleball courts right
We
behind
need
us.
to do something.
Nobody knows where anything is.
Pickleball court is
Right behind us.
over there. Yep, you're right, it's behind us.
I've been here way too long.
We need to
Well,
address
it
his
sounds like the new
questions.
benches are gonna be over here, I guess.
What
I
do we
don't know
do
why
about,
we need to address the questions. Most of those questions are repetitive. Most of those questions have been discussed during the actual meeting. So the main gripe of the group was, are we going to make any corrections to our submission to the grant? I don't see why they need full disclosure. Nowhere in the grant does it say, have you applied all the positive and negative feedback? They asked specifically what we did, and we told them what we did. If they want to basically ask us, can you provide more feedback on both sides? We would gladly provide that, but I don't think we have to provide both the positive and negative feedback.
Right, that was my thought too. We've answered, oh, sorry, I'll let you guys discuss it, but I get caught up in this. We've answered the questions. If they don't like the answers, they're gonna ask for more information, or if they don't like the answers, they're gonna deny it.
Right.
You know, in which case we'll fix it up and submit it again next year.
So, and I might be wrong, but it seems like the whole agenda, along with providing all of the negative feedback, is they're trying to sabotage the grant so that the grant does not go through.
Yep.
Correct.
I think
And I don't
that's
think that should be the intent
an
of the
astute
grant.
observation, yes.
My thought on that
That's just
too
my
is
opinion.
the answers that we were given were answers to the thing. The only reason it isn't in favorable of them, but it wasn't the wrong answers.
Correct.
It
They're almost auditing the grant as if they were the DNR. And I don't have any problem with them picking over some of the details like that. And both Cindy, Charlie, whatever, they did a great job. I mean, they got down into the details, but that is up to the grant committee to decide. That's not up to us or them to decide whether or not we're approved for these funds that are matched. So if the state, if the DNR wants to match those funds.
Doesn't be a funds for a project that they
Right.
feel is going to be harmful to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I was saying.
No,
Right, and
they're
So,
not
no,
pro,
on that one there that
pro bad.
it was rewritten wrong.
They're not
pro bad.
They'll pick that out.
Oh my God.
They'll see that because it contradicts all the way through.
Yeah.
It's too
There's
long.
only
I
a
am
spot that I could
starving.
find that I missed, or the
And
grant
so,
writer
and
may
what
have
will
missed. I
happen
looked at my
is
notes.
when the DNR reads it, they'll find that discrepancy and they may send an email to us and say, we have a discrepancy, can you explain?
Yeah, and I would like to say, like Mike had said too, I appreciate that they're willing to come in and say something.
Yeah.
You know, rather than do it out on social media, you know, they come in and they talk to us. We don't always have to like what they say or, you know, but I do appreciate that they're willing to come in and talk to us, and that's their right as citizens. And I applaud the park board for giving them the time.
Yeah.
You know, by rights, you could have said it's a 5-minute discussion. But you let it go and heard everything, and I appreciate that from the park board as well.
I do too, guys. I really appreciate that you had an ear for them and that they could have a voice and that there was a discussion. Because I think on both sides that we're both really trying to improve the park, improve our neighborhood. And we're on the same team, even though we're trying to design it differently.
Right.
So, well done.
I wish that they understood.
Should we?
It bugs me when he.
Should we adjourn and then discuss?
Right.
He wishes that we would have gotten resident input. That's what you guys are. You guys all live here, and you guys are the residents. That's why we have boards. Everybody has an equal opportunity to join a board at any time.
Well, and we did our due diligence in advertising.
Well, and I think that was, the pool sign up was timely, and the success of that, it was advertised and put out there in the same means as all of this campground stuff, and it was only for a month. The campground stuff has been out in the papers and everywhere for months and months, and I have heard nothing from anybody other than the 12 or so that, and I'll say again, and I stand by this, that the solicited opposition. We've heard from them. I've talked to people in the coffee shops, at the barber shop, you know, that's where you get all the good information. And everybody is for this and thinks it's a great idea that I've talked to. So, you know, it's.
And
Right.
when I asked the question, I was like, that's it, you know, but I think their opposition is dwindling and we still feel a responsibility to, you know, do something good for this park. So don't lose that spirit, like keep it up. We're doing something good for the park.
Right, and contrary to what, I mean, you guys have read, or I'll get you the strategic plan and the comprehensive plan. And you've seen the campground rendering from 1990 and the drawing from 1965. For them to say that it's not stated in any of those things, I don't understand, because in all of those things allude to expanding the campground at some point. And you know, I applaud the park board for kind of finally getting around to it, actually, and doing it.
Because we have documentation that they were developing this in 65, and he said it wasn't there in 40. or 40 years ago.
Yeah, no, well, yeah, I mean, the drawings that Howard Bailey put in his book was trailer camping back in 1965. 1990, it was 20? No, it was 16, I think 16 RV campsites, right where we're proposing to put these. And then 15 other campsites on the lower part. So they were talking, 31, 32 campsites out there. And also primitive camping in the woods down the trail.
Right? Mountain biking. Ultimately, I don't think there's any need to respond back to that unless the grant people come back with, have you been, heard from both sides, and basically come back and audit the information and say, can you tell us more about the feedback from the 3 meetings? I don't think it's on us to provide positive and or negative feedback to them. So, I mean, unless some of the questions here have not been answered to Charlie at all, I think he just wants us to know that whomever wrote the grant application wasn't 100% correct. Okay, but that's up to the DNR.
And that's my responsibility.
Right.
He also is kind of trying to make you guys feel like you can't trust us as staff.
Yeah, but whatever it is, I don't know that we owe an answer.
Any information.
So
Everything he has asked for, we have provided.
he's gonna be calling tomorrow to find out what we decided to do, so by the park board direction. I just wanna know, so if he starts calling us, what are you gonna tell him?
I'll just say the park board had a discussion and they did not direct me to
Do anything?
to do any changes to.
Okay.
Yep, well,
The grant, the application stands.
The application
That's fine.
stands, we will respond to the
That's fine.
DNR
That's fine. That's
as
what
they
they're
ask
for.
questions.
I'm just saying, so he can
Yep.
hear it too. So
Yep.
he knows that.
Well, and then we could just say, go listen to the discussion at the park board after.
Yep.
Okay.
And if he pushes on polling the people of the town, because I think he will continue to push on that. I think we just say we're not going to poll. We've never polled before, have we?
No,
This isn't a
we don't
project
need
that
to.
requires a referendum.
Right.
I mean, to me, that's what a referendum is.
Okay, that's the great answer, that this is not a project that requires a referendum.
To me, a referendum is like the poll.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yep.
Vote yes, we vote no.
Right.
And the way I had answered it before, not to make this longer, but the way I had answered it specifically, I think, he must have asked me directly, but it needs to be a scientific poll. It can't be just a poll that you send out on
Right.
Just a
Facebook or
generic,
whatever,
general.
because only the people that are passionate about it or, are going to answer it, when the other people are just going to, it needs to be set up in a way that gets comments from a broad variety. I mean, those are thousands and thousands of dollars to do. We can't just throw a Google poll out there in a situation like this.
Who can take them to? I feel like just a Facebook poll, anybody can.
Right. It has to be a resident of the city.
Yeah, and a lot of the opposition they're not residents of the city. Some of those, 3 or 4 of those are township residents. They use the park, so I don't completely disregard that. But truly, 3 or 4 of those 12, I think, were township residents.
Are you going for a new record, or would you entertain a motion to adjourn?
I would entertain.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. I got my kids blowing up my phone.
You can all second.
All in favor, aye.
Would welcome a motion.
Yeah, because I have to go work in the morning. It's
Thanks,
4:30.
I know the Wild are starting.
Thanks for hanging with us, Kim. Have a good night. Get some rest, my dear.
I can tell that one.
This is the Wild game.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
And the Twins hit one.
That's the score.
Let's see.
How do you shut these off?